It being 6:30, we call this meeting of the Manchester by the Sea Select Board to order. Jeff?
Yeah.
Brian?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Ann is here.
John here.
I would like to suggest that we take item 4 before the other items on our agenda, as there seem to be a number of people here interested in that, who would probably be bored to tears with everything else we're gonna do.
Start with 3.
We can start with 3,
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Is that acceptable to the board?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Article 3 is to confirm the appointment of Lieutenant Mark McCoy as police chief.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to thank the Select Board for your support throughout this process. Back in February, we discussed our recruitment process at length and got started by posting this position in early March. The position received 11 applications. The initial screening of those applications consisted of our Human Resources Director, our Police Chief, and myself. Those candidates that we received were extremely well qualified, put a lot of effort into the initial application process. Some more qualified than others, and we assess those based on their minimum qualifications, their command level of law enforcement experience, their leadership background, and applicable certification with post eligibility. And we reduced that pool of candidates down to 4. The next phase of that process involved a written questionnaire phase where selected candidates were invited to complete a structured written questionnaire designed to evaluate leadership philosophy, community engagement approach, operational and budgeting experience, accreditation knowledge, and strategic vision. After reviewing those submitted responses, we reduced the pool down to 3 and then went to first round interviews, which were conducted by our HR Director, Michelle Maloney, Police Chief Fitzgerald, and Fire Chief Jake McNeely. From there, the applicants reduced down to 2 finalists, where we went into final interviews with myself and Michelle Maloney, our HR Director. I should give a quick shout out to Michelle Maloney. She did a phenomenal job as far as helping design and manage this process, and very well communication with those that were involved. So tonight I am recommending the appointment of Lieutenant Mark McCoy as our next police chief due to the impending retirement of Chief Fitzgerald. Mark exemplified throughout the process that he was prepared for this process, that he put obviously a ton of effort into the process while also working here and a ton of hours at the same time. He has worked his entire career to be prepared for this opportunity. He knows this community in and out. He has the respect and loyalty of our police force, and has been Todd's right-hand man, I think, for quite some time now. And has built up quite the rapport. So very excited to make this recommendation. Look forward to working with Lieutenant Mark McCoy as chief. And Chief, would you want to say anything to that?
No, Mark has been my number 2 for the last 6.5 years and done an exceptional job. And I feel, we've done a lot of succession planning, and I feel he's ready to move forward.
I just want to say, I've known Mark for a lot of years, not as long as you have. And I think along with his professionalism, his community engagement is next to none. Okay, there's second to none. He's always somewhere where there's something going on in town, be it a basketball game, the Little League parade. His presence is there, and I'm quite confident that Chief Fitzgerald's plan of the foundation of community policing will just get even stronger with Lieutenant McCoy at the helm, and I look forward to working closely with him.
I would also like to congratulate Lieutenant McCoy on this. I also want to thank Chief Fitzgerald
Yeah.
because you really listened, and the proof is in the pudding. Mark isn't being given this, he earned it, and he earned it by doing the work. And I appreciate the fact that he did that, and I also appreciate that you put the time in to make sure he was prepared to achieve this milestone. So congrats to both of you.
Good, yes, and I also want to congratulate Mark. I think all of us know Mark really because he's a community guy. He is out there all the time, and in fact, that's really how I think just about all of us became familiar with him, and I'm looking forward to working with him as he continues to move ahead, now in the head position, in the same manner, as a hands-on community police chief.
Well, I've known Mark pretty much all my life, so I know he's going to do a great job, and I'm glad to see this happen. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I join everyone in congratulating our chief for having found an excellent replacement, and Mark for stepping into big shoes, but well prepared. Thank you very much, both of you. Okay.
Brian, you have the motion.
Mark, I am honored to make this motion. I move that the select board confirm the appointment of Lieutenant Mark McCoy as Manchester by the Sea Police Chief.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Ann says yes, Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes,
And Jeff?
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark, do you want to say any?
I'm truly honored to receive this appointment, and I look forward to working with the select board and the town administrator in keeping this town a safe place and very community-oriented place. So I want to give the floor, my father would like to say a few words. He's a retired.
A few words.
He retired years ago from the Manchester Police Department, so.
In case you don't know me, I'm Mark's dad. I've only been in town here since 1944. I'm going to take it short and sweet. Please. My brother says three. But he's worked under 4 previous chiefs, which all done a great job here. And he will continue to do a great job, but keeping the town of Manchester safe. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So we'll move on to the appointment of our new officers. So tonight's an important and proud moment for the Manchester by the Sea Police Department and for our community as we officially swear in our new police officers to serve the residents of Manchester. As we all know, policing is more than a profession. It's a commitment to public service, integrity, compassion, and sacrifice. These 4 individuals have chosen a career dedicated to protecting others and serving a community that places a great trust in our police department. I want to say thank you to the community for that trust. So on behalf of the Manchester by the Sea Police Department, as chief, I would want to thank the select board, town administration, and the families and friends gathered here tonight, and everyone who has supported these officers along the way. The support of family and community plays a tremendous role in the success of every police officer. Manchester by the Sea is fortunate to have a strong tradition of professionalism, service, community policing, and I'm confident that these officers and Lieutenant McCoy will continue that tradition with pride. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the 4 new officers. So first one, if you want to raise your hand, Officer Gary Abram. So born in Trinidad, Tobago, Gary Abram graduated from Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive School before migrating to the United States. He attended Bunker Hill Community College and Salem State University. Gary previously served the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on the Sex Offender Registry Board and the Hamilton Police Department. He joins Manchester by the Sea with a wealth of experience supported by his wife Michelle and their 2 children, Nicholas and Alexander. Officer Kenny Paul, right there. Coming to us from Endicott College Police, born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, came to the United States following the 2010 earthquake, where he attended Beverly High School. He's a full-time graduate of the Linfield Police Academy. His hobbies include fitness, music, and spending time with family. And he's currently enrolled at Endicott College, finishing his college degree. Student Officer Brandon Berg, right over here. Brandon Berg grew up in San Diego and later moved to Massachusetts for college. He attended Endicott College, so we have a theme here with Endicott College. And graduated in 2021. He met his wife Abigail, who was the coffee lady, part of the coffee lady, that my wife loves. She's a native of Magnolia. They both attended Endicott College until they decided to move to Manchester, and they got married shortly thereafter. They have 2 sons, Henry and Noah. They love to enjoy nature and go to the Red Sox games, I can tell by your Facebook. Brandon worked as a photographer in the automotive industry and a salesman automotive salesman prior to pursuing a career in law enforcement. He'll be attending the full-time police academy beginning July 20th. So we'll be back here after that to officially swear Officer Berg in. And Officer Jordan McGonigal, right here. Jordan is a coming to us as a full-time police officer, again from Endicott College Police. He grew up in Cape Cod, graduated from Bourne High School. He then obtained a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Bridgewater State. He's been married to his wife Haley since 2021, and they share 2 children, Logan 3 and Tyler 1. His hobbies include playing guitar, mountain biking, golf, and spending time with his family. Jordan is actually working right now, and he's finishing his field officer training program, and you'll see him out on the streets very shortly. So with that, I'll ask the town clerk and our Officer McGonigal, Officer Paul, and Officer Abram to step forward to take the oath of office.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to have you all raise your right hands and repeat after me. I'm going to have you fill in your names. Okay. So, okay. I state your name, solemnly swear.
I, Kenny solemnly swear.
To perform the duties of my office.
To perform the duties of my office.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
And in the best interest of the town of Manchester by the Sea.
And in the best interest of the town of Manchester by the Sea.
I swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America.
I swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America.
The laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
The laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
And the bylaws and ordinances.
And the bylaws and ordinances.
Of the town of Manchester by the Sea, so help me God.
Of the town of Manchester by the Sea, so help me God.
Okay, congratulations.
Congratulations. At this time, I'd like to welcome whoever's pinning these officers to step forward.
You're ready to
Yeah, grab a couple photos.
Actually, I don't know.
Yes, okay.
I want to play with this. I want to play with
So I'd like to thank the select board for allowing us a few minutes of your time for this traditional swearing in and beginning. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to Lieutenant McCloy. And this concludes our ceremony. So we'll step downstairs in the hallway for a few pictures so the board can conduct their.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, good.
Thank you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you too.
So who's gonna keep etiquette safe?
I know, right?
I'm sure we can all help out.
Nice pipeline.
Thanks, guys.
Just the bids.
Officially, yes.
I know you're white.
Lives here in town. Very excited to go and schedule. Yeah, she's a bridge. I'm surprised she's a
Where was going?
Congratulations, buddy. You know,
Shortest speech I've heard from you in about 10 years.
Yes. Short and sweet.
Yes.
We're waiting for the response. Greg Beatrice was asking for you. Yes, that was short.
It's all over.
Moving on to the more pedantic parts of our meeting. The first we skip the public comment in order to get Bill's well-known, well-deserved credits. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none, seeing none. There is no chairman's report. This meeting is being recorded. Are there any changes to our action or task list?
The only thing that I might add is, when we discussed it, was either the last meeting or the meeting before, trustees.
Yeah, we need to,
I just put in a tickler for a date at the end of the year or the 1st of January, so that that doesn't get lost.
I think the other thing was, just housekeeping business, we need to pick a date for the, whatever offsite we're gonna.
Yeah.
Yep, Debbie's looking at availability for Chowder House in June, and we'll send those out. We can schedule that through email.
Yep.
When we produced the goals for this year, we had decided that they should run on a fiscal year basis, so I think it would make sense for us to do it in June before.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
The next item on our agenda is the propane storage public hearing for Essex County Club, 153 School Street.
move the select board open the public hearing on Essex County Club's application for installation of storage containers of LP gas at 153 School Street, Manchester.
Second, John?
Yes.
Ann says yes, Kathy,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, is there someone here from Essex County Club? Yes.
Sorry, any questions regarding it? We're adding propane to heat our swimming pool as well as our paddle courts. We are in the process of a large construction project at the club, and reconnecting to natural gas was cost prohibitive, so this seemed like the most logical solution for us.
Thank you.
Is all the permitting in place for this already?
Yes.
It is.
So this is a new license, you haven't been hooked up for natural gas, I mean with propane before, it had all been natural gas?
So that's correct.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether there was an amendment or it was renewal or it's a new deal. Okay, understood.
The fire chief has given us a good overview of his concerns and his conclusions that his concerns are being addressed.
Good?
Close the hearing?
No?
Well, we can close the evidentiary portion.
Yeah.
What's ahead of me?
Move to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing on propane storage for the Essex County Club.
Second,
John,
Yes.
Ann says yes, Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jeff?
yes. Now it's your turn.
Now we're good?
Yeah.
All right. I move the select board approve the issuance of the license under Mass General Law, Chapter 148, Section 13 to Essex County Club for storage of 7,240 gallons of LP gas at 153 School Street, Manchester, as specified in the license application and subject to compliance with all applicable regulations and conditions of the fire department.
Second.
Jeff?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Ann says yes.
John, yes.
Okay. John?
It's like 5 different tags or something.
Let's see, I move the board close the public hearing.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Ann says yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the next is a national grid public hearing for 189 School Street. Kathy?
Oh, excuse me. I move that the select board open the public hearing on the National Grid and Verizon New England Incorporated petition WR number 31290677 for the installation of one JO pole on School Street.
Second.
Yes.
Yes. John says yes. Ann says yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything beyond what we? Yes,
I was just gonna say,
please identify yourself, just,
my name is John Jenkins. I'm a design engineer from National Grid. We are petitioning for one joint ohm pole in the right of way on School Street. This pole will be a 3-phase siphon pole to feed the church that's being constructed. Currently, the 2 poles that the church will be between, one's already has a riser, so it can't be used. And then the next pole is too far away, so adding this pole is necessary to feed the church. And it also will decrease the span between the 2 existing because it's over our standard.
okay,
So it's beneficial for us too.
Does this involve any street closures per se, or?
No, they should be able to have it all, keep all the construction contained to the lot because there's nothing there yet.
Were there any concerns with the DPW at all? No?
okay.
Want to close the hearing?
Yes.
Move that the board close the public hearing.
Second. John?
Yes.
Ann says yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
Now, I move that the select board approve the National Grid and Verizon New England Inc. petition WR 312-90677 for the installation of one joint owned pole on School Street as shown in the provided plan.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Anne says yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We already closed the hearing.
Yeah, we seem to be doing.
I think we did it in reverse.
It's bad. The first one
We
was
start- we
backwards.
initiated that on the other one.
That's my fault. We were
I had a
missing
tough
a
time.
motion in there to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
It was a little confusing.
Just take that out of your page.
I'm afraid we have to take it out of mine.
We don't like yours.
If you voted for my raise, you would have got it.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the general code project, Christine Dixon.
So I did send you a little information about this, but if you don't mind, I'll read it just so the public knows too what it is. Okay. So this is a memo to the select board that was sent last Thursday. The town has been awarded a community compact IT grant of $16,635 to work with a company called General Code to have the town's zoning and general bylaws reviewed, reorganized, and put online in a significantly more user-friendly and accessible format. You can see what it looks like on the websites of other local communities that already use General Code, such as Beverly, Ipswich, and Topsfield. And I actually just found out that Rockport recently went through this as well. This is primarily an administrative project of mine that will clean up any typos or conflicts in the current general and zoning bylaws and get them into a better format for the future. The project is just getting started, so at this point, General Code is doing a review of all of the town's bylaws and will then report back to me on their findings. Then, depending on the feedback, I will reach out to get other departments or boards involved as needed. This would, at a minimum, require a planning board hearing and to be added to the 2027 annual town meeting. The scope of the project does not include any substantial changes unless General Code recommends something to clarify an already existing bylaw. If you have any questions about the project as it goes along, feel free to reach out to me. Any questions or now?
So this is to restructure the zoning information to be more easily digestible and understandable. We're not buying software.
No, so it will be they will host our bylaws on their website. So there is an annual subscription fee after
Okay, so
this.
we are, it's a
Yes,
subscription
it is gonna be a
model.
subscription fee after this, but the actual cost of the project will be covered by the grant.
Right, so what's the annual subscription
I
cost?
think it's around, I know it's under 2,000 a year. Yes, so it'll
Okay,
be under 2,000 a year. I need to double check, but
okay, and
Yeah.
how is this gonna be integrated into our existing website so we don't yet add yet another user ID and password for our
Yes.
residents to
it
gather
does not require a
information?
sign-in to view all this information.
Okay,
So it's so if you look at.
are you just gonna link to it or you just,
Yep, so the
Going to-
way that it works in other communities is, and I talked to our IT about it too, so basically there'll be a link on our website that says, bylaws, general or zoning bylaws, and it just goes straight to our bylaws. It's very searchable and user-friendly, so it doesn't require an account, anything like that. It's just, you can go in, view it all, you can search a word to try and find something you're looking for. It's also going to it's gonna be set up so that it won't go back from before it's set up, but basically anytime there are changes made going forward, it's gonna also keep the old version so people can go and see how things have changed over time. And then the bylaws are also all gonna be able to be, I think you can download like a Word version so that if someone wants to propose a zoning bylaw change or a general bylaw change, they can literally just,
my question was gonna be, so how big is this company?
how big is the company? Like, I'm not sure, like how
So
many
what-
people they have work for them or how much money they make.
How long have they been in business? So when you enter into an agreement with a
Yes, right.
supplier that is hosting your
Yes,
data, you wanna
yes.
make sure you have access to the data whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
And that they've been in business for a while, so
Yeah.
they don't just go away.
Right, I got you. So I know I started in Amesbury in 2016 and they were already using them. So, I mean, I know they've been around at least 10 years, but I'm sure it's longer. I can find that out. But they're pretty solid, like in the clerk's world, they're a pretty known and established company.
Are they a private company?
I
They're a
assume
small
so.
private company?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, Tony, on our list of things to do, it sounds like great,
Yeah.
but this was my profession. I understand some of the things that we should be looking out for. So I just think we need someone on your staff to be appointed the IT guru or whatever, so they can learn how to evaluate these types of companies. So you're not having each individual direct report to you go through the kind of investigation that should be done when putting our data in someone else's system. This is all public data, so I'm not real concerned about it, but I am concerned that we are growing a mushroom of lots of little systems that we connect, and that does one thing. It adds operational cost, number one, and you lose the ability, you introduce more security risks into your environment when you do that. So someone on your team needs to be.
Can I add?
Yeah, absolutely,
I did
please.
send this to RIT and they reviewed it and they were like, we're good with
So
this
that was
setup.
at the Danvers
Yeah,
Collaborative?
yeah, so
Good.
Cascade looked at it
Excellent,
and they
good.
told us like, just they had a couple requests, like make sure we have a contact there, make sure that, I think there was one other thing, I have it in the emails, but so that it was a pretty like, yeah, it was reviewed by them already.
That's good.
Yeah.
Still, somebody
Yes.
in Manchester needs to understand this stuff,
Gotcha.
so they can partner with the collaborative, so it's not every single person on Tony's staff doing that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course, great.
I will say, I went on the Beverly website
Uh-huh.
and looked at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much easier.
It's nice, yeah.
Pushing around a little bit and you know where you are. Whereas in our bylaws, you go someplace and you don't know where you are. You just know you're somewhere in the bylaws, reading the topic you want to read, but you can't put it in the context.
And the nice thing is after every town meeting, I'll send them what was voted, they incorporate it in, and at that exact moment, if there's any question about where something goes, they'll ask and we'll get it settled, versus it all being on me and sometimes being like, I don't know exactly where this is gonna go, I have to figure it out, but then as clerks change, that information changes and gets lost, and so as long as, like, as you said, they're established and they stay around, it's a little more, a different kind of consistency, which I am hopeful will be useful too.
I'm slightly concerned because several years ago, we decided to reorganize the zoning code.
Mhm.
And that turned into a massive project.
Yeah.
And the least pleasant town meeting I have been to in Manchester.
No.
And I don't, you're taking a huge number of very different pieces of information. And I don't know how we're going to explain to the town meeting
Yeah.
that, okay, here you have what you've got, and here is what we're gonna do. And they're not gonna be able to figure out
Well,
who all the pieces connect.
I think it's primarily a housekeeping project, like they're not going to be, a lot of any changes that they suggest would be just to clean it up a little bit. It's not a matter of them actually changing any of the bylaws.
Restructuring the bylaws, which
I
is
mean, if
make
there's
them
something
user-friendly.
in like one section over here and one section over here that would make sense next to each other, then there might be some suggestions about that. And I've reached out to Sarah and I'll check with her to say, hey, this is what they're suggesting, does that sound good to you? And then this is part of, like, there will be more of a process later on as we get further into it.
I think what Ann is expressing is a concern that, first of all, again, I think it sounds great, but the manner in which it is executed and the manner in which you transition from what you have to the end state is really important because the data belongs to the residents, okay? So the project has to be executed in a way that they understand what's happening as it goes along so they can more easily vote on the end state. It's not just what I would call a data conversion effort. It sounds like there's some possible structuring of the, the data is going to change. Okay, that's different than what I would call a standard data conversion effort, which you might be able to execute all on your own without anybody, any residents dipping into it. So, and zoning is a sensitive thing. Is there a way to test out the process? So sometimes when things get a little sticky, you do like dry runs. So what's the, I think you said it wasn't just for, is it just for zoning or general
Zoning
bylaws?
in general, yeah.
Oh, all right, so maybe we could test out the process around something that is less controversial. I'm not sure if, when they look at the data, which is the easiest chunk of data to do, maybe the general bylaws, or, I'm not sure, but think about Ann's comment so that we're not wholesale changing everything all at once. Is there a way to introduce this in a phased manner and give people a little taste, here's what it'll look like, and then they would be more enthusiastic? Because that's typically how you would
Yeah.
conduct a data conversion effort. You
Yeah.
do it in
We're-
phases, not all at once, unless it's required.
I think that opportunity is available to us. This is the initial introduction. There's gonna be an ongoing process. Once general code takes a look at our zoning and general bylaws, they're gonna come back to Christine, and we're gonna speak to the select board and the planning board, potentially the ZBA as well, to kind of evaluate what those suggestions are and decide what we want to move forward with for next annual town meeting. So they may come back after doing a review, and there could be a lot, there could be a little, there could be complicated tasks, there could be very simple tasks, and we'll go through that process, especially on the general bylaws with the select board and on the zoning bylaws with the planning board. So I think once we get through this initial phase of evaluation, we'll have a better idea of how complicated of a task we have in front of us.
I will,
Sorry,
No?
Sarah Creighton,
Sarah Creighton, Chair of the Planning Board, Christine had talked to me and Mark about it, we're wholeheartedly in favor. I mean, we haven't talked about it with the board yet, because it just came in since our last meeting. But if you look at our zoning, for example, there are 12 sections and probably 50 different formats of how bullets and sub-bullets are formatted. Just, enumeration of subsections and that kind of thing. And I think for any user, including planning board, that just readability, that's the goal, is a really good one. And the searchability and the ability to update it work wholeheartedly. So anyway, I think we're in favor of it, and if there are, we did have a consultant, he didn't really look at that formatting kind of thing. He looked at other things, most of which we've actually chugged our way, painfully sometimes through.
that's right.
But we've actually, been able to pass a number of administrative and then substantive bylaws with success. Those that were the disaster time that we passed 100%.
I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. It took us 3 town meetings maybe to get most of that done. And you're thinking about adding the general bylaws to this. I mean, we're gonna have, I have a great deal of trouble seeing how we're going to explain this to the people who show up at town meeting.
Well, we don't know until we try.
Yeah.
Let's try it on, take it up for a spin, and then over the course of time, because we don't know what we don't know. We're speculating on problems that might not exist. So
We're concerned about a problem that did exist.
Okay, and I'm not gonna live in the past, I wanna go forward.
We passed those, we renumbered large sections of the bylaw without debate. I mean, it's largely without. And great debate within the planning board, but I think we've surmounted that.
Yes, yeah, Christine.
okay, thank you. So I had a comment, so I talked to General Code as we were starting the project about some of these things, and a few things I wanted to add was they said, treat it as housekeeping, and if there's anything that comes up that's too controversial or too difficult, you hold it, and you don't change that part. And then it's considered a recommendation for Sarah and Mark for the future. So the idea is get whatever you can that's administrative, tidied up, and then anything that's gonna be potentially larger, you can come back to. But typically General Code is administrative, the work that they're doing, it's just little things like, fixing some grammar things and stuff like that, or reorganizing.
References that don't work.
What's that?
And that's what I mean by phasing. okay? That's what I mean by phasing. There's
Yeah.
the stuff that's easy to do,
Right,
right?
right.
And you take as small as possible so that you can learn what you need to learn.
Yes.
And then you plan out the rest of what you wanna do later.
So I do wanna add that this grant, whatever we're using for the grant, it has to be done by October of 2027.
But
So-
you can do multiple phases rather quickly, and if there's something that's truly housekeeping, bring it to the fall town meeting.
This fall? So that's not gonna be in line with the timeline for the project. There is a timeline for the project.
So all we have is
which-
annual town meeting.
Yeah, so, or if there were an earlier fall, I guess next year, but that would be kind
We could
of,
accommodate
yeah. But again, anything that's not administrative can just be held and worked on in the years to come. This is really about them reviewing it, telling us if there are conflicts, where there are conflicts, what numbering would be better. I don't think numbering, hopefully, will be, okay, all right. But
But we'll
just
have their
something to,
recommendations.
we'll have their,
their recommendations and we can process those on a timeline that we.
So Tony,
Yeah.
so it sounds like there is a timeline for the project.
yes.
What is it?
Sarah's knowledge.
So I don't have it all in front of me, but I have a draft of it that I can certainly share. But roughly, I'll let you know. So in the next 2 weeks or so, they're gonna give us just a brief overview of what they're looking at for reorganization. They are hoping to get a draft, I'm doing this all from memory, so be patient with me. I believe the month of December, we will have a draft towards the beginning of the month, and have to get back to them towards the end of the month. A lot of this is dependent on the turnarounds, so what they give us in the next 2 weeks, if I can get them a quicker turnaround on that, then that would, but that's the expectation, would probably be the month of December. And the hope is we could wrap that up by the end of December, get them the town feedback, so that would be select board and planning board mostly. And then they would have a draft back to us that would be considered the final version by February, so that you could be working on planning board hearings and things like that.
Okay.
But they are gonna give us a very clear sort of red line, and they give us the language for town meeting, and if there are things we wanna leave out or include at that point, they would include or not include that language.
So that's a very busy time of year for a lot of people.
Could I hear
Yes,
from,
I
could we hear from
understand.
Sarah
Sure.
Melish now? Sarah?
Sarah Creighton?
Sarah Melish is
Oh,
on the
she's on
screen.
Zoom, oh, good.
Oh.
Can I ask my questions?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Sarah Melish, I'm Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I have 3 concerns. Number 1, any renumbering significantly impacts the decisions written by the ZBA, so it's not a small matter. Number 2, I would want to know what is the timeline between when we pass a change at a town meeting and get information up on the website. Today, we hold everything until the Attorney General has approved things, but the ZBA is bound by what's approved at town meeting. And we're in a holding zone, and some past changes have been very difficult on us. And I think my third question is, will we be able to print a PDF copy? If one is chairing a ZBA public hearing, or one is in a site visit, you can't sit on your computer and scroll through a bylaw to answer a question. At a recent public hearing, somebody wanted a definition of a structure. You never know what's gonna come up, so it's important that we're able to have a PDF copy that we can print out, even though I hate to do it, but those are my 3 questions, thanks.
Sure. So I'll go backwards. PDF version, yes, you can print. Also, if you bring a laptop to a meeting, you can do Control F and find a definition, so it perhaps might be more efficient in some ways, but fully respect the desire for a paper copy. I'm in the clerk's office, it's what we do. So I get that, and the part of the general code project is they will make several binders of the code for the clerk's office, the building inspector, I assume Mark, and a few others. I have to double check the number they give us, but also you can print PDF copies. the timeline on when it's passed at town meeting and when we'll post it on the website. So I have 30 days after town meeting to get things to the Attorney General's office. They have 90 days to review it. I typically do it in less than 30 days. I've done a week or 2 weeks, depending on what else is going on at the time. The Attorney General's office typically takes the full 90 days. We can and have, in certain situations, asked them to speed one along. And it is true, the zoning will be backdated to town meeting date once it's approved by the Attorney General's office, but it's not effective with those changes until after they approve it and I post it publicly. So I understand there will be a transition period there. I can certainly reach out to General Code and ask them their recommendations on those numbering things and how to deal with those, because they've done this in a lot of communities and it's something I'm sure they've come across and a question they've had. So that's the timeline, and similar, I guess, to the first question, renumbering affects CBA decisions. I'm sure that's something we can work with them on.
So, as somebody who has done hundreds of these, I'm just gonna give you just a small piece of advice here.
Sure.
I know you're relying a lot on general code because they've done this before, and that's a good thing. You wanna get those best practices from the data conversion efforts in the other town. The step you don't wanna miss is what Sarah just brought up, is understanding who uses what we have and how do they use it and what do they need from it. That is typically, you can make mistakes there if you don't understand it. So if General Code has done this a lot in other towns, I presume that is part of their process, not just to meet with you and the other people who publish this stuff, but meet with the people who use it. That will help you prevent any missteps.
Yeah, so, and I also, since Rockport just went through this, I definitely plan to be making some phone calls there to see, you know, how they're doing it. But yeah.
Sounds like a road trip.
I'm not gonna waste the gas, I can make a phone call.
There you go.
Any other?
To Ipswich.
Yeah.
Ipswich and Rockport are both open town meeting towns?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I recall.
Because-
Yeah, I know, because Beverly and Amesbury use it, but they're cities,
Yeah,
different situation.
And,
Yeah.
they have, even a community with an elected town meeting would be a different
Right,
situation
right.
than,
Yeah, I can double check that, but that's my
yeah,
understanding.
and,
Yeah.
yeah. See how they presented.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that Ipswich is open.
I'm pretty sure Rockport is too.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
they-
that both of those are, but
And I don't know how long ago Ipswich did it, so I can see if I can find out.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Are there any other comments, questions?
No.
Okay.
Good.
Thank
See you in a few months.
Yes,
Good
I'll be
luck.
back.
I hope so. Okay. The next item on our agenda is our JAG, building group. I believe have presentation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you kind of an update, if you will. I believe a few of you were at a meeting that we held back in August of 2025 to talk about property on Pine Street north of 128 on the property of Wharton College. My name is Greg Lamb. I am a principal at Jefferson Apartment Group. We primarily develop luxury multifamily housing. With me today is Lauren Jesniecki. Lauren will be leading this presentation. She's done a tremendous job pulling together a lot of information, not only since August, but well before that, when we were selected by members of Gordon College to take a look at their property to see if there was something that we could partner together to bring to the town, to bring to the school in a partnership format, multifamily housing. They've been a tremendous partner up to this point. They've given us a lot of time to study the property, to listen, and that's why we're here tonight. We're here to listen, to gather some feedback. I believe you received from us last week a PowerPoint presentation that kind of goes through a little bit of the history, a little bit of what we have done as developers in Massachusetts, and kind of some of the high-level ideas of what we believe this property could become. So a lot of work's gone into studying the environment, studying the location, studying the market, working with Gordon College on what would be acceptable there, and now listening to members of the town, particularly you right now, to kind of get some feedback on how to move forward. So as I said, I'll reiterate, the town has been, Gordon College and the town has been tremendous in kind of giving us some feedback along the way. Our consultants have worked hard to study the property, and I think we've put together a very nice plan that will certainly complement the town. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lauren and let her kind of walk through PowerPoint.
I have it up on
Oh,
the
great.
screen.
Do you mind clicking to it?
Oh, yeah.
And then Greg, there are the 2 slides on,
Yeah, okay, so you see me, I'm Greg Lamb. I mentioned that I've been with Jefferson Apartment Group for 25 years. Previously, we were with a company called JPI. I'm one of the owners of Jefferson Apartment Group. We do focus on luxury development of all types along the East Coast, with significant time spent here in Massachusetts. Chris Burchard is on vacation tonight. He is kind of leads our development and construction, and then Lauren, who's been the champion of this project since the beginning. So we keep her kind of close and working hard on this project. A couple of examples of next slide, please. A couple of examples of projects you may have heard about or have seen. Jefferson Malden is a 300-unit project. We worked in partnership with the city of Malden to redevelop their city hall that was built in the 70s. It kind of closed off their main street, frankly, right up against the T, the Orange Line. We were brought in to kind of redevelop not only that property, but to rebuild City Hall. I think quite successfully. They'd be a great reference for us on how we worked with them along the way to develop what I think is an exceptional project, really bringing quality housing there. Arlington 360 is a project in Arlington, Mass. 176 units up on top of the hill, the site of the old Sims Hospital. Very difficult approval process. It took a long time to get through that. I think at the end of the day, it's really a tremendous project. Mixed use, it includes some townhouses, some senior housing, and multifamily. And then last but not least, a rather small J. Woburn Heights, 168 unit project in Woburn. Simple project, 3-story, 4-story walk-up surface park project that's doing quite well. Very nice. I think, again, some similarities here is kind of the topography challenges associated with Woburn. That was a much more significant construction exercise, let me say, than what we're envisioning should we be given the opportunity to develop here on the property of Gordon College. I think that's the last one.
Yeah, and then there's just some photos.
Some photos. So we certainly can provide references and kind of how things were done in different projects, but we're very active in Massachusetts and really believe that this town would be a tremendous place to work together and I think build some very quality housing, in this market.
Am I going back just one more?
Sorry, you jumped ahead.
Oh, no worries, okay. So thank you so much, Greg. So Lauren Jesnicki, I've been, as Greg mentioned, helping on this project for several months now. Had a lot of opportunities to meet with Tony and some of the different town departments. So look forward to presenting our preliminary concept here. The site is here, as you see, in orange. There's one little typo on this anywho, but this is a 20-acre site approximately right off of Pine Street, off of exit 49, so it's direct access right onto Route 128. It's across the street from the Black Earth compost facility. It's mostly wooded at the moment, but as Greg had alluded to, there is some topography on the site and wetlands and other environmental elements that we've been studying really closely over the last several months. So you could go to the next one, Tony. This is our original concept plan. So it was for approximately 300 units, a little bit more on 2 different parcels, both accessible from Pine Street, and really had not taken into account a lot of the topography. So we were just coming onto the project and understanding literally the lay of the land.
And so there is a lot of topography, we've come to find out. And so this original concept has evolved to the next slide, this current concept. So this takes into account some topography, the wetlands, we have vernal pools that we've identified, we've taken feedback from the different town departments. We had several meetings over the last 6 months to get feedback about access and site layout, and other, sort of site planning concept elements. So we're still showing the two different parcels. The parcels on the left side, A and B, we're considering the west building. The parcels on one parcel on the east is the east building, parcel C. And this current plan shows about 285 units. So we've scaled it back, again, taking into account topography and setting the buildings into the hill, which you'll continue to see as we flip through some of the additional slides. Let's go to the next one. So now we're focused just on the west building, the two buildings on the left in that site plan. You'll see that this is the typical floor, so everything in peach is considered amenity or common area, the sort of mailroom and leasing office, etc. And then everything in the light blue and darker blue are the units. We have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. Of course, you can see some of the site area is comprised of surface parking, but there's also a level of below grade parking tucked into the hill and some outdoor space. So a courtyard with a pool, resident garden beds, grills, etc. So that's really a nice amenity for the residents. There's an access road that wraps around 2 driveway entrances, and this is 175 units on the west. In the west buildings. You could go to the next slide. This shows just how the buildings are nestled into the hill. So if you can look a little closer here, the hill, there's a lot of topography. So this is where it sort of steps up. So at the upper level, you have 3 stories. At the lower level, you have 4 residential floors. And so that undulation happens. At the front of the building, it's 3. And at the back, it steps down to 4 with a level of parking below. So the idea was to really, instead of taking the top off the hill, to try to build into the hill so that at certain elements, you're seeing 3, whereas the building reveals itself further towards the back where the grading steps down. Go to the next one, Tony. Now this is looking at the right side of the building, the east building, the right side of the site. Same colors, so peach is the amenity space, the light blue and dark blue are the units. We have some more parking tucked into the hill here. The hill really sort of crests in this location, so Pine Street is off to the left. So as people come in, the building is literally wrapping into the hill, and this is that parking that tucks into the hill. So there's surface parking, then the garage is entranced from this side, and there's also a courtyard with a pool in this project as well. The next one, yeah, so this also shows the stepping, same concept where you have a lot of grade change, and so the building sort of steps up into the hill in this case. So here at the front, you have 4 stories of residential, and here at the back, there's 3. So the idea of the architecture, which you'll see a little bit more in the following slides, was an acknowledgement of the very historic and traditional architecture in downtown Manchester, but recognizing that this is a very natural site with a lot of trees and woods and stone to try to pull in some of those natural elements. So the stone facade, some wood paneling, some of these details will start to reveal themselves as we get into some of the perspective views, but really to try to provide more of a transitional or sort of a modern take on some of the traditional architecture forms that we see downtown. Yeah. So now this is looking at the west building. You recall that you had the site plan, it was the buildings off to the left. So if you were coming in off of Pine Street, there's an access drive that comes up. Again, some of the topography sort of wrapping up and around. This is the main entrance experience. So you'd have the 2 buildings with the courtyard in the middle. You'd have your sort of resident lobby here, mailroom, package room, etc. This is where the main amenity was. And here you see the 3-story volume at the front, and it steps back to 4 at the rear. And again, it's topography. The idea would be to try to expose and sort of celebrate some of these natural elements, the rock and the landscaping. So you'll see that in some of the other views as well. Here we are further, now we've driven up the hill and we're sitting, sort of right at that front entry experience. Resident lobby on this side, amenities on this side, and kind of looking through the courtyard here. Next slide. Now looking back, so this is almost an aerial. If we were sort of hovering over that rear courtyard, looking back at the buildings, you can see again the idea of taking natural landscaping, celebrating some of the rock, the architectural elements that we had spoken to, the pitched roofs, the window lines, stone and wood siding and white accents, and trying to keep it very light and bright and fresh. Now this is the east building. So again, imagine you're on the right side of the concept plan, you're coming in off Pine Street. This is that drive aisle that wraps around. Here the courtyard is in front as you're approaching. The lobby is here, the amenities would be here, and then you'd have the residential units stacking up from here. Surface parking at the front, and the parking on this building is around the back.
Can I say one thing while you're switching slides? This is intended to be one project, not two separate projects. So it'll be managed by the same company, us, and the residents will be able to go back and forth should they desire. We're trying to work on that connectivity map. That's something for down the road.
This is zoomed out, again, hovering sort of over the wetland in between the two sites, looking back at the east building. So that center wing with amenities and lobby, and if you took this drive aisle all the way around, you'd enter the parking, which is tucked here underneath this building. Residential units above, the courtyard, another view of the courtyard. But again, similar, pitched roofs, stone, masonry, and some of the wood siding details. So overall, I mentioned 175 units in the west buildings, 110 in the east buildings. It translates to about 14.25 units per acre, which is generally consistent with the MBTA community zoning. Not that we're employing that here, but just again, from just, sort of a rule of thumb. We have 430 parking spaces across both sites, and the amenity program, we sort of pointed to where it could be. We haven't detailed it yet, but the idea would be that we'd have a clubhouse, a catering kitchen, that might have a bar area, we have a fitness center, courtyards you saw with pool, grills, outdoor seating. Pets are very popular in these communities, so there would be a pet wash, a package room, EV parking and bike parking on site as well. So one of the things that's come out as part of our research of the property and of the community in general is the idea that we are really fortunate to have the natural elements around the site. So trying to celebrate that, and that provides an opportunity to allow residents to connect to the natural elements of the property, but also a healthier lifestyle, a more active lifestyle. And so we've envisioned some of these sort of themes to be woven through embracing the natural setting. So this could be through the landscaped areas that are quite expansive, having indoor and outdoor connections between the units themselves, maybe balconies or terraces, but then also through the amenity spaces. It could look like resident garden beds, bringing in natural materials again through the facades and through the interiors, the actual finished selections in the units. The building will be consistent with the new Stretch Energy codes, which has a higher standard for energy efficiency and installation, so bringing down the overall energy usage and energy expenses. We talked about, as part of our minimizing our impact, converting to low flow plumbing fixtures, which reduces the amount of wastewater that the project draws, our wastewater footprint. And we mentioned incorporating parking for bikes and EV chargers, which of course is helpful from a greenhouse gas perspective. So I had mentioned we had several meetings with different town departments. Here are all the meetings, not to read them all, but I think we touched all the different departments and got a lot of really good feedback. So between August, which was sort of a kickoff meeting, and then as we got into the winter, we had several different discussions, and we heard a lot of really good feedback. So initially, I think one of the bigger themes was that the scale was a lot. Over 300 units was something that we'd heard from different stakeholders, and so that has been reduced from over 300 to 285 as you see the current concept. We got feedback from DPW that there are sewer constraints in the LCD, which is our zone, our sewer district, and so we're committing to low flow plumbing fixtures. We'd heard from conservation staff that there are obviously concerns about the wetlands and the sensitive areas around the site. So we've done a very, very thorough wetland analysis. It took us probably 3 months to go and survey all the different areas. So we have a really good sense of, the bordered vegetated wetlands, but also the vernal pools, as Ed mentioned. Traffic, access, and public safety. We had a great meeting with the fire chief and police chief. We added a second driveway to the east building and are continuing to evaluate traffic and access. We'll be doing a traffic impact analysis as we get further into the process, so that'll continue to be studied. We heard about architecture and character, and we've really tried to have this transitional design approach from some inspiration that we saw in historic downtown. And then we got ideas for community benefits. So things that were mentioned, improvements to the existing trail network, technical assistance for some of the existing senior housing that the town has, improving streetscape infrastructure, perhaps through sidewalk and bike connections, contributing to a recreational field or pickleball courts, and also the idea of conservation agreements, more broadly. So in the next few slides, we'll just talk through what some of those are. And Tony, just let me know if we're running tight on time, so we can speed things up too.
I think you're doing pretty well.
Okay.
Got another 9 slides here.
Okay, perfect. So one idea is that if, Pine Street, there's no real formal parking area for some of the trails that are currently used. And so you see people parking on the sides of the road and sort of these pull-offs. The next slide suggests maybe doing some wayfinding and more of a formal parking area. The idea of having a little bit of a kiosk where you might have a map and some trash containers, etc. So the idea that we could formalize and sort of highlight and celebrate some of the existing trails that are there. The next one. Working with the town, again, we heard this as something that the town could potentially use help with, just sort of thinking through some of the existing housing and how it could be repurposed, renovated. So that was something that we were interested in contributing to and assisting with if it continues to be of interest to the town. It's something that JAG has experience with, senior housing and affordable housing. You can see here the idea of trying to incorporate bike sharrows and some improvements to Pine Street. So just allowing for a little bit more wayfinding and signage, striping, etc. That could be helpful as you get up, towards the project. A contribution to a recreation field. We had studied whether it could be done on site, and there's just too much topography and wetlands to consider. But the idea to try to support the town's efforts to provide fields at another location. We are directly across the street from Black Earth, and while their current configuration, is quite tight to the street frontage, the idea of potentially pulling the street out slightly to add more of a green buffer and screening and a gate and signage, not signage, but more of a fence, let's say, to provide a little bit more privacy, a little bit more screening is something that we had talked about doing. And then another benefit, not so much as, contribution per se, but just the fact that by developing this project and committing these units, we would be doing this through the 40B process, which all of the units would then count towards the town's SHI 10% and provide a really long runway and a really big cushion to future projects. So over 15.5% once you take into account all the units. So just an overview of everything we'd already talked about, but the idea that we heard a lot of ideas and trying to pull in the things that we can and contribute to the things that we can and continue to, refine the plan. As Greg mentioned, this is really intended to be a first presentation, a listening session to continue to get feedback. So some ideas that we had heard and look forward to continuing the conversation. And I think there might be one more. Yeah.
Two more,
right. So in summary, as we've continued to analyze the site over the last 6 months, things that would need the town's assistance with are a sewer commitment. So as I mentioned, by reducing our units to low flow fixtures, will reduce our overall sewer wastewater footprint. And so to work with the town to have a commitment that that allocation could be provided for this project is something that's important. As we get into the 40B process, we would look for the town and specifically the select board to support the project. Not that it's a guarantee of support, but it's really an indication that you're supporting the project to move forward through the public ZBA process. And then as part of this overall project, and I probably should have mentioned it before, the intention would be in order to get that sewer capacity, we would be extending the town sewer line up from the current termination further down Pine Street, up to the project, and looking for the town's assistance on a MassWorks or Housing Works application, much like the CST project did. So that's sort of more of an infrastructure piece. Like I mentioned, this is preliminary, so we look forward to continuing to have conversations. The idea was that we met with a lot of the town departments initially, and now that we've come to the select board to make the project a little bit more public, we'd like to have some follow-up presentations with different stakeholders that we had met with along the way and wanted us to come back, but we really wanted to do this this meeting first. So, and open to other ideas if there's other groups that you think would be helpful to meet with. And last is our overall timeline. We really focused this on the 40B process, the friendly 40B process, but prior to us filing, the idea would be that we would go to Conservation Commission and have our ANRAD approved. As I mentioned, there's the wetlands and other things that we've studied really heavily, so we want to make sure that that's confirmed, and then we would continue to proceed. It would be helpful just to understand directionally that we're heading in the right direction. So I think your feedback as it relates to the project, even initially, even though the filing wouldn't happen until the fall, we just love your feedback sooner than later. So.
And if I could say one other thing, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. It's very rare that we are dealing with a seller like we are with Gordon College that's given us the amount of time that we've had. Normally, we're required to make some moves in 30 or 60 days, and then we're coming here to rush and say, this has to happen or we're gonna be gone. You might want us gone, but we have to be gone. So it's been really a great partnership up to this point with them, and they've given us the time, because we've come back to them and said, we need more time. We don't wanna force our way through this town. We know we can't, but it's good to take the time and listen, so.
So welcome all questions. I also have handouts of the slides if it's helpful. So I could also leave them here.
Yep, they're also included in the select board.
You got
Yeah,
it.
we got
Okay.
But maybe some of the people in the audience would like to talk about it.
We say this is a draft. This is something that is evolving over time, and from the breakdown of the number of bedrooms and those things are still evolving as we go.
I have a couple of questions.
Can I just make a quick little background here, because this didn't happen in a vacuum. Okay? Actually, this was initiated during the MBTA zoning process, where members of the MBTA zoning committee, Steve Gang and Denny Hall in particular, approached Gordon. Okay, we planted the seed, all right, and then upon further thought process, I think Gordon started to embrace the concept, but they had to find a developer who met their commitment to the community just like Gordon did. And I think that, I don't know how many people they vetted when they finally settled on JAG, but the town, myself, went through the summer of 2024 with various meetings with Gordon before I even met Jack, right, to give them a sense of what we're looking for, what we felt the town could embrace, and then finally brought Greg Fetishfield into it back in the fall of 24. Continued these meetings, met with Greg over here, and then finally during the transition period of time, Tony got involved while Greg was transitioning out. But personally, I found that both Gordon and Jag share the same level of commitment to the community that we would be looking for. So I just want to emphasize everything on that.
Kathy, you said you had some questions?
I do, just a couple. First, I want to say thank you because I grew up in Medford, so Malden downtown, I watched it.
Wow.
I watched what happened, you fixed it, it's beautiful, thank you. The examples, like the small group of references, for lack of a better term, that you referenced, they're very different, you know, I am familiar with those cities. They are cities. Do you have any other references where a small community like ours is looking at adding more than 10%, you know, increasing their households, number of households by more than 10%? That's a lot, you know. Adding 185, you know, units to Malden's no big deal. Yeah, you know, if you add it to Manchester, it's a bigger deal. So we're trying to get an understanding of the scale, you know, what you might have encountered in smaller towns.
Let me give that some thought. Because I don't think there's anything as small as Manchester by the Sea. But I will tell you, over my 30-year career in developing multifamily, you're not alone in thinking about the impact of a project or multiple projects on the town or the community or the city itself. So being respectful and listening is how we would approach that. I can't point to something this small. Arlington was difficult. Arlington did not want multifamily housing. And it was.
Yeah, they have a lot of it though.
They do, but you know, whether it's a town in Northwest DC, which is, I don't want to compare Manchester to Northwest DC, but it's people who become accustomed to not having a multifamily building next door to them, is something we've dealt with.
That's not so much what I'm poking at. What I'm poking at is, and like I said, I think, you know, the rough designs, yeah, they're lovely. I think they're lovely. I think the location's great. What I'm poking at is the big change from we have a lot of infrastructure that our DPW has been working diligently to bring up to where it needs to be. We have a lot of expensive town buildings we need to either renovate or build. So we have a lot of, you know, tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars of stuff coming our way. So what I'm poking at is the stress, a potential stress of a beautiful complex that could add more than 10% to our number of households. So that's, I think we're gonna need your help with that.
Sure.
Other thing, just a question, what, if you can refresh my memory, what would the percentage of actual affordable homes, apartments be? I know they all count against the registry, but what would?
25%.
25%, okay, that'd be awesome, yeah.
I say one other thing
sure.
to answer that question as I'm thinking about it. The nice thing about this project, while I said it was two different parcels but one project, I think it gives us the opportunity to cater to different segments of the market in each one. I think there's going to be a tremendous demand for snowbirds / empty nesters who kind of want to have a place to live, you know, off season or on season, I guess, said better, so their children can live in their homes, et cetera. I think that's a very likely outcome, and I think people who work here, it's a likely outcome of a place to live that's a lot less expensive, let's say, than owning a home. So I think we can. It's still an additional population, generally speaking, because whoever moves out of that house is going to move in, and so they're still here. So you are doing that. But if you diversify the uses and attract different demographics to those buildings, I think it could be quite interesting, and I think it will be less of an impact of 285 new homes coming to the area.
Yes, John.
Question, yeah. So thank you for the presentation. It's good. I was at the presentation back in August. It's shifted around a little bit. That's good. I'm looking for you folks to help perhaps some of the, you know, work through some of the problems that we have with regard to who your target market is. And from my perspective, number one is kids. We don't have enough kids in our schools. And I'm looking at the ratio of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. That's not addressing that strongly enough. 1 bedroom does not jack up the number of students that we've got in our schools at this point. And the population in this town has not changed in 50 years. It's the same as it was in 1975. So, and in fact, the number of units that we've got in town hasn't changed appreciably either. But of course, the number of people living in each of those units has changed, and there ain't anything we can do about that. We've just got to kind of add a few more units that will have kids in it. So I'm interested in how you might be able to address that with regard to your mix, because I want to see more kids. The second one, which you poked out a little bit there, is seniors that may be snowbirds, but there are downsizing seniors that have nowhere to go, and you know that.
Right,
Okay. And some of them may be looking for rental apartments. I know that some of them are looking for duplexes, triplexes, something else that they can buy. You know that there's a taxable event if you go from owning to renting. And that is a motivator for a lot of people. And I did see one of the, I guess it was Arlington. You had a mix of townhouses, apartment houses. I didn't necessarily like the setting. You had so much land to work with, and Arlington's a pretty crowded place.
Right.
And so you put it where you could. But I'm interested in seeing what you can do to maybe shift around your mix a little bit, that you can address those folks.
It's good
And
feedback.
And those people, when they sell their houses here and move to a smaller unit there, of course, they're opening up their houses for hopefully somebody who's got 2 or 3 kids, because it's a bigger house. And they want to downsize, and maybe, they want to spend a few months down in Florida, I don't know. So anyway, I'm interested in seeing how you might be able to address that. I think the affordable housing angle, that's the third angle, and of course, 40B addresses that. And all of that is part of that. But for the seniors angle with regard to units that might be, saleable, that people can move into rather than necessarily rent, a mix of something along those lines. And I assume that you probably dealt with a little bit of that. That's an important segment that you need to be able to look at.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, John, I might say, this might be, just a comment, this might be the first time you've ever heard, we want more
I
kids.
was gonna say that, but we always hear the opposite. We always hear the opposite.
No, I'm not saying that the
This is first
seniors
time
are
I've
interested.
ever heard that.
If you see all of the white papers in our industry, it's defending the fact that it's school-age children, but it's because it puts too much pressure on the system. But here, we've heard this since the beginning. So we will definitely take a look at the unit mix and try to provide more larger units.
I like the design, it looks like it fits in with the landscape. I mean, you're definitely gonna have your work cut out for you cutting that mountain down, but between that and the environmental issues. I guess to kind of mirror Kathy's concerns, I think the infrastructure in town is a definite concern about the sewer treatment plant. I mean, right on down the line, all these issues. I noticed you were talking about Black Earth and addressing that. But one thing I'm thinking about that area is you have 2 gun ranges right next to you. Has there been any thought to how you're gonna address that?
Duck.
I don't know enough about that, honestly. I don't know if you.
I mean, our understanding is that they're not regularly used, it's more scheduled, and so
Well,
something
your
that we
police
could.
one is, but the Hamilton Rod and Gun Club is literally on the other side of that corner.
I don't know, they shoot it, we will,
They shoot.
I'm not worried about the shooting, I'm not worried about the sound. I guess your question is, are they shooting towards us, or they shooting away
No,
from
I
us?
mean, I guess the sound, you're gonna hear
No,
that sound.
I personally think I don't think that's about sound, but I think we will study that.
I'm not saying it is, but what I'm saying is you might have people that could be an issue.
Yeah. The compost facility is something we've absolutely studied, and we've been out there, we've thought about it, and, it's part of the community. We're okay with that. I think if we will work with them, we hope, to kind of maybe move some of that mulch pile up front, right on the road back, and screen it a little bit, and then it's gonna be fine. It's not a requirement, and we don't have the ability to make it happen, but if we can work with them as a part of the community, and, we have more composters, right, frankly, coming in, so. But we'll take, I don't know that I've even heard the shots when I was out there, so we'll take a listen for that.
I mean, it's something I think worth
Yeah.
looking at anyway.
Definitely.
Anybody else on the board have Are there any other comments? from the
Just one, so I appreciate the focus on the community and the list of, things that you might consider donating, for lack of a better phrase. This is more of a comment directed to Tony. This is not everybody and their brother asking for stuff. The town needs to speak with one voice. I expect that voice to be you, okay? And I also expect that, should they be so kind as to, offer some help to the town, it's not gonna be something that raises our operational costs, okay? Adding new fields, great, if they're gonna pay to maintain them too, okay? So the gifts that we may want to entertain should not increase our operational costs, because we've got enough of that already that we need to wind back. And again, my main point is, this is not everybody, every, town department or every board, coming at them asking for stuff. We gotta channel stuff through you, and I expect some sort of prioritization that we would discuss as a board, as well, so that we're all on the same page here,
Yeah, I think, absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think we may get to that point. I'll say that when any major developer is coming to your community to talk about a potential project, starting that partnership or relationship with them off on the right foot is important. That's, partly us and partly them. I think that especially when you're talking about a 40B project and a town doesn't meet its SHI, it's especially
We
important.
have a 40B in process now.
We do, but we don't technically meet.
I know we don't meet, but
But what I'm saying is when you don't meet your SHI and a potential development is coming forward, that relationship is important. And I think that, Gordon and JAG have come to us with kind of a blank slate of tell us, we want to be communicating with you constantly. We want to understand where the town is, what the concerns might be, and they remain committed to that even now. They've talked about how important it is for them to go through a process and meet with all the other committees that, might want to have an opportunity to speak to them. So, I think that eventually if we get through a number of that process, then we'll get into, the process of looking at what type of mitigation might be put on the table, but.
right, and like I said, my comment was more for the town as opposed to them. Like I said, I like what I see. I appreciate you coming to us to listen. My comment was this way.
One of the things, you will own and operate, correct?
Yes.
You're not gonna take it
No,
from
we're going to operate.
So you will be the corporate
We will be, yes,
partner.
yes.
did everyone on the board get a chance? Is there anyone on the, yes?
Jessica Lamoth, Chair of the Manchester Coastal Stream Team and former member of the Water Resources Protection Task Force. I'm very concerned about water and if we have enough water. And I know you just mentioned and the other 40B that's still in the process. And then if this comes along, we are facing more and more droughts every year. I'll put in my annual complaint to turn off the foot washers up at the beach because we're already going to be taking Lincoln Street offline to fix the PFAS problem, and I hope first and foremost that's one of the big things that we're paying attention to is making sure we're all gonna have enough water.
Lori?
Lori Creighton, 37 Proctor Street, member of the Finance Committee. I just have two questions for you. One is, do you have an estimate of the sort of population of residents on site and what that is? That's sort of question number one. Question number two is 60% of our water comes from Gravelly Pond, which is pretty close to what you're doing. Maybe you can tell us just about how you plan to work with that, because that is a vital resource for this town.
From an environmental protection, from
environmental protection.
Right, so certainly this isn't the first time we've developed next to something like this pond, okay? So I do think it is far enough away, and that the restrictions that we have on where we can develop and where we can move and where we can allow stormwater to run off, all those protections are going to be instructed by your departments to make sure that we are, keeping that sediment control in place, right? That's the biggest worry, right? Is that sediment getting into the groundwater and getting into groundwater. So that's our requirement. That's not, right? We can't just kind of do what we want to do. So I say that's step one. And I'm sure, given the opportunity to go through the process, that's going to be pretty restrictive, and we're going to be told on exactly what to do. Regarding the number of people, I'd like to get back to you on that. I mean, it's typically, 1.5 people, 1.5 meaning the average, right? Some people try to question me, what's a half person? 1.5 people in a 1-bedroom, 2 people generally in a 2-bedroom. This isn't a roommate situation, I don't think so. 3 bedrooms where you generally have your, 2s and 3s are where you have your children. So 3 people, I'd say we can get a kind of a better estimate than my kind of off the cuff. This is a much more suburban, community-based, family-oriented, and empty nester, frankly. So we're not attracting the typical resident that we would in a city, obviously. But Malden is very different than Manchester by the Sea. So I do think the demands that we see is for empty nesters who are tired of taking care of that large home and all the obligations that come with it, but they don't want to give it up. So whether their kids buy it or a relative buys it, they still have the ability to come here. So that's an important part. But back to the environmental sensitivity, the laws have gotten so restrictive and protective that that's what we work within. So if that answers your question.
Sarah. Sarah Creighton, 37 Proctor Street, and also chair of the planning board. My comments are more personal than, obviously we haven't had this come before the board. So, but I do want to just say for the board, the planning board was the point person on the MBTA zoning. And I don't believe that the MBTA zoning subcommittee ever discussed this as a policy matter or made a recommendation for this. That's not to say it's good or bad, but I just want to correct the record that this was something that the MBTA zoning subcommittee or the planning board was for or against. I think one member of the committee and somebody not on the committee, Steve and Denny, did have some of these conversations, and then maybe it got going, but it wasn't the MBTA committee or the planning board that endorsed or doesn't endorse this. So just to be clear about that. The second thing is that in the cell signaling special permit and discussions, there are a number of capacity problems and commitments already made. So there's commitment to their phase 1 and I believe their phase 2 water and sewer needs. They are constrained on gas. They cannot use any larger gas line there because of the gas capacity in the region. The electrical capacity for their second phase will require an upgrade to the substation in Beverly, I believe. So your electric capacity, you may be the next people in and you'll own the substation upgrade. But we should be very concerned about that as a capacity issue. The other thing as the planning board we talk about all the time is scale. And I think John makes a good point about ownership. And while you have architecture that mirrors the downtown, you do not have scale that mirrors anything in town. And now my personal opinion is that the general public has not paid attention and will freak out. That's just my personal opinion. So the town boards, the town staff doesn't speak for boards that will act on this. And I think that unfortunately, and erroneously, the public thinks that the Gordon Woods is conservation public land. It's not, and I understand that. But in terms of how this looks and how this fits in Manchester, I appreciate your effort for using precedents downtown, But scale, you're not even in the close, and that's what people are gonna respond to. So you might wanna think, I know you're pretty far down, you know, in your little box design, but think about scale and think about things. I think you'll get a lot better public reception if your scale is much smaller and in terms of architectural scale, and obviously that's money. And I understand that, but I think the scale has nothing, it's bigger than the high school, which is the biggest building in town. And then the other thing is we have just spent a year focusing on downtown, and now you're proposing to create a community of 300 people or 200 units, so at 1.5 or 250 units, what 1.5 is what, 400 people outside of downtown with a pool and a clubhouse and a country club, I don't know, whatever. And I'm not sure we need to think as a community about that, because while it may help your marketability, it may not be what we want, and I don't know that the 40B process does anything besides give you the access to the units. I'm not sure it gives you access, and Mark can decide, help us or at some point, whether all those amenities of clubhouse that's square feet and water, and a pool that's water, and landscaping that's water, and those kinds of things. Those seems to me to be a little bit separate from the housing issue. So, and are inconsistent with scale for the town. So I think there's still work to be done, and I understand the pressure on housing, but I think, lastly, the town departments and town boards don't speak with one voice. Across the board, we can say for sure that, nor do town boards always speak with one voice.
We message, that message has been delivered to JAG from us as well throughout the process, is that, we were consulted in a preliminary phase, but this next step of bringing it formally in front of the community and going in front of all these other committees and boards is where they'll get a real understanding of the town's position on their project.
Just a question, is there any other town, and I know that you were thinking, or trying to think of another town you worked with where you were adding more than 10%.
There isn't one.
Or even close to 10% of their housing stock. There's just, that is really an out-of-the-box concept. As Sarah says, we're a very small sample here, but the public.
Can I just clarify? So scale in terms of numbers of units.
Yeah.
Scale, but my comment was about scale of the structures I don't know how many square feet what's the total square feet you've got right now?
Call it 285,000 feet.
Right, so your total square feet is Memorial School, the high school, and another Memorial School plus probably Essex County Club. In 3 buildings.
Does anybody else on the board have?
I just wanted to reiterate, piggyback on what Sarah just said about what we call the LCD, that area, that zoning area on the other side of the highway. We don't want to recreate another downtown there. Part of what makes Manchester special is the downtown that we have, so, even with, the other companies that are maybe developing land in that side of the building, that side of the highway, it should this come to fruition, we're looking to them to be part of the community, right? So when, come have coffee in downtown, don't have restaurants in there. So just the amenities, as she was poking at, we don't want to create a separate community. We don't want a Linfield Market Street there.
That's certainly not what happens in multifamily housing. It's people need to get out of their unit, right? Their unit is smaller than what they're used to having, so they need to get out, and COVID was an example where they could actually get out of their unit and they're working there, so.
So to follow that with the 400 and whatever parking spaces that you're gonna have, right? Those cars are gonna come somewhere, right? So when you do the traffic study, I would be thinking that we only have two, major streets coming in off the highway, right, Pine and School. School is pretty well trafficked during the day, getting to school. John wants to add more kids, okay, it'll turn Pine Street into School Street, right? And so.
More pleasant than Pine.
So, and Pleasant, so that core part of our access to the highway would be significantly impacted by the structures of this scale, right? So as you're thinking that through, understanding what could be done to help the town with that is really important. Because it's not just about the pipes underneath, it's about that particular avenue.
So if I could say one other thing?
Sure.
With a lot of great comments, obviously, and one of the challenges, so there's the obvious challenge of the school, the schools, some of their needs as well, let's just call it that, and the geography, where these properties will sit and the environmental considerations that are taken into account. We don't have 20 acres necessarily to spread out a bunch of single-story buildings, right? So we're working within the topography and the environmental constraints of wetlands, vernal pools, setbacks, everything that are required. And we're not doing this because we have to, right? So I don't want to take credit for that, but you're working within building envelopes that will work. And in order to get to an economically viable project, we've got to have 3-story buildings. So
4-story.
3 and 4. Generally, we're trying to illustrate from the street the 3 stories, and it kind of falls off in the back. And we can show as the process goes on, you'll see all of that. But this is kind of our conceptual thoughts at the very beginning. So, but we'll continue to take that into consideration.
Christopher Illing has had his hand up.
Oh, there he is.
Hello, my name is Chris Imming. I'm the campus planner at Gordon College. So just wanted to thank Chairwoman Harrison and the Select Board for the opportunity for JAG to speak with you all tonight. Again, really, really helpful feedback to hear from the members of the board and the others that have spoken tonight. Many years ago, even before MBTA, going back to my opportunity to work with Sue Brown as part of the Manchester Master Plan process, really looking for opportunities to synergistically activate part of our exempt land. And so again, it started back with the town's master plan. There were conversations, and I agree with the corrections on the record as far as the nature of the conversations with the MBTA Communities Act. But then even after other opportunities were selected for that process, a desire on the part of the town to continue to explore how the college may look to find a partner that would work well with Gordon College and respect the topography, the nature and ecology of our property and the town's surrounding areas. So again, we look forward to this conversation continuing, and I really appreciate the time for JAG to be able to present tonight.
Thank you. Are there any other?
I have a question for Tony.
Please.
Sarah Creighton again. Tony, is this taxed right now as nonprofit land?
Yeah, they are exempt from paying real estate taxes
So
currently.
you would be paying the back taxes for how long?
Oh.
Isn't it, I mean, once it's taken out of, if it's been tax exempt and then it converts to a for-profit, I believe you have to pay the
I
back
haven't done it.
taxes.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, if I have a property that I have an abatement on it and then I figure out how to put a septic system in there, I have to pay the back taxes. Why is it any different? I'm pretty sure if you take it out of that would be something important to find out what this law is on that.
Certainly.
Okay, if there's nothing further online in here,
There is a hand raised online, but it's Manchester by the Sea so I'm not sure if,
If there is someone.
Hi, that's, Madam Chair, that's me, Steve Gang from Manchester Conservation Commission. I'm also grateful that we have this introduction to the thoughtful plan, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it respects the wetland resources. And I have lots of questions, but I think by far the most important question is, will the remainder of the property be protected by a perpetual conservation easement or restriction? As we have discussed, going back more than 20 years in conversations, some of which I've been part of with the leadership of Gordon College.
I don't expect anyone in the room at the moment to have an answer to that question, but perhaps Gordon College.
Right.
Good.
Well, is Gordon retaining ownership of most of the parcel?
Correct. Gordon College is continuing to retain the majority of the parcel of the land.
Okay, so the question is probably directed to you folks, as it always has been.
Yep, and that question will continue to reside with us and our team as we go through the process.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Steve?
No, that'll do for now. Thank you. Time is short, I understand.
No, time is getting long. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the time.
Very
I know it's late.
interesting perspective. And you've had an opportunity to speak with people from various committees in town, just to get more of the information out.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you very much. Shut this place down.
Now we're all
Absolutely, thank you very much.
take a chance.
Administrators quarterly report.
Thank you.
thank you. Share screen on this. All right, here, I did send this out to the select board in advance. Just gonna go through the goals that we set for the current fiscal year. Some of these had been completed at the last quarterly review in February. Some of these have been recently updated. Filling the vacancy of land use clerk is completed. Activate the health and human services team leader positions is complete. Fill the vacancy of council on aging director is complete. Fill the expected vacancy of chief of police. You confirmed the appointment tonight. I will go through a contract negotiation with Lieutenant McCoy, hopefully complete that in the next couple weeks. And at that point, he will serve as a interim deputy chief. Since we can't hold two chief of police at the same time, he will officially start on Todd's last day.
Which is July 6th.
Which is July 6th or 7th, depending on fireworks, potential rain date of a fireworks show. Negotiate union contracts. These are with the fire department, public works, and clerical union. That is currently in progress. We've had a couple back and forth meetings, and that's the goal there is to complete the contract negotiations by July. We have a lot of work to do in that sense, but we're pushing hard to get something done for the upcoming fiscal year. And added to this goal list, I took the liberty of adding another personnel goal is the vacancy of the principal assessor.
Have you considered the possibility of sharing that service?
I'm in the process of doing that. We've had a retired principal assessor serving in that interim role currently. He's been doing a great job. He's been here for a little bit over a month. And really what I'm trying to, while he also fills the seat and kind of keeps our operations, our day-to-day operations going, I'm actually seeking some of his counsel on that and understand, the ability of that position to be performed in a non-full-time capacity. So it is being evaluated now. That non-full-time capacity, I think, becomes possible because we are making a full-time assistant position in there, and that part-time position could either be done by a single part-time person or by sharing the position with another community. The person would be full-time, but we get partial of that time. So I want to first make sure that it's feasible for us and then evaluate our potential options. We do have the position posted. The full-time position is posted currently, but like I said, we're in a pretty good spot right now with our interim that we don't have to. We really. I don't want to take too much. I don't want to make it seem like it was all planned. We have been really busy with a lot of other things, so we haven't really had the time to kind of dive into the applications that were received through the posting. Luckily, Dave's doing a good job, so it's kind of relieved some of the pressure. Communications, submit at least 2 town administrator columns to the Cricket each month. That's an ongoing goal that we've been meeting. Develop a webpage that tracks progress of efforts approved by town meeting. So tomorrow, is election day. We'll see what happens with the ballot questions. But all projects that were approved at this recent town meeting, our goal is to create a webpage, a central location for people to get status updates on those projects. Many of them have individual pages currently. So I think when we spoke about this was kind of a more user-friendly.
You're finding stuff when it's scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
It's designed to make it easy for people to publish information, not designed for people to absorb it.
Absorb it, yes, all right. Budget, finances, and policy, review with the select board a 5-year financial forecast for the town as well as a 5-year capital improvement plan. The finance committee is meeting Thursday night and it's on their agenda to take a look at the capital plan. Andrea, Chuck, and Nate and I have been meeting over the last few weeks since town meeting, especially since the last the joint meeting with the finance committee and the select board. I think that the message is received that bringing a little bit more light or focus on that long-term 5-year and beyond capital plan. It was produced with Greg. I think the last time it really was publicly or jointly discussed with the finance committee and the select board was maybe 2023 or 2024. 24. So we've been working to update that, and we're going to kind of give a little bit of a preview of the work that we've done so far and talk about the work that we want to continue to do with the finance committee Thursday night, and I'll bring that to the select board as well.
Should we post that in case there will be a quorum of us at that meeting?
Yeah, we could do that tomorrow if you think.
This Thursday night?
Thursday night.
We got Manchester Club.
We do.
Okay, it's fine.
The three of us are gonna be fine.
Okay,
Okay, maybe
I'm not gonna be there.
okay, if you've got Manchester Club, then clearly your priorities are elsewhere,
Why even talk about it?
okay?
But I will bring it back. We'll make it an agenda item for our June 1st meeting, and then I imagine it would have been a topic for our retreat meeting
Yes.
as well.
Yep.
Number 2, develop, promote, and effectively complete a sound operational budget and capital plan each fiscal year in a timely manner. Consider
So far,
that
so good.
complete for this year. Number 3, assist and make recommendations for the development of a short-term rental bylaw. So we have to, I think we need to have a discussion about that. The last time we talked about the short-term rental bylaw, we were looking to just maybe update the definition for this past town meeting. And then going through that article development process and consulting with legal, it's not as simple as just amending the general bylaw definition. The zoning bylaw needs to be amended as well, because currently there's nowhere in the zoning bylaw does it say that short-term rentals are prohibited or allowed. It's just silent. So I think we should have another discussion about everything that's kind of comes under that umbrella, and also communicate or consult with the planning board and decide whether that's a fall town meeting goal or a spring of '27 goal. Number 4, review previously completed plans and evaluate uncompleted recommended tasks such as parking improvements. That's a summer of '26 project. And then infrastructure. Develop a strategy and pursue a backup funding source for the Central Street Culvert project. So we have our backup MVP regional application submitted to the state. And then our backup of the backup was the town meeting authorization, which was approved, and now we'll see what happens tomorrow with the ballot. Just an update on this, we did receive positive or hopeful communication from MEMA, who FEMA reached out to ask if an extension to the FEMA brick grant of December of '27 would work for us. We responded with an updated schedule, requested that they extend it to July of '28. So that way we would have either this winter season or the full winter season of next year to do the project. So I think the wheels are in motion in the positive direction, that we could hear rather soon that the FEMA brick grant has been extended.
Well, how far off are we from the Chapter 91?
Not far off at all.
Rings.
It's
Is our
basically
nose
been
pressed up against the glass?
It's complete, the permit has been, the application has been completely reviewed by DEP. They've.
Do we have to buy him a pen, or what has to happen?
Unfortunately, they've instead of giving all their comments in one fold, they give us comments, we make corrections, they certify that, then they come back with another comment. They've worked really closely with our consultants and have a meeting this week with DEP to kind of finalize all of that. I've reached out to the state to kind of give them a heads up that it's going to be moving, to the governor's desk shortly for final signature. Also, Nate's talked with all the other permits that we need, like Army Corps and things like that. All of those reviews are done. So as soon as Chapter 91 is executed, the other ones will be right there after it. If the grant funding from FEMA is extended and the permits are signed and executed by July, we could potentially do the project this winter. So we're
All of
looking at.
it, or just the
The project.
culvert itself, and then do the marsh behind the,
Well, I guess we'll find out for sure when we go through the procurement process of what the schedules would look like from the potential contractors, but the goal would be to have, all of the culvert work done in a short period of time in the winter. And then if there's additional work to be done that doesn't impact traffic, it can be done in the spring and afterwards. So. Number 2, support the facility planning committee with efforts to develop current and long-term plans for majority facility improvement projects, including the DPW, police, fire, harbor master, treatment plants, rotunda, library, etc. Seek funding at HEM. Some funding, not listed here is the senior center. We were able to secure funding for design at the town meeting, and then we obviously are seeking construction funding for rotunda for the library. But this is a in progress type goal, supporting the facility planning committee, continuously throughout all of these projects. Number 3, directly support, promote, and advance efforts regarding the new senior center. Execution of closing of the sale with Masonic Hall, that's complete. Advancement of the senior center design. We secured funding at town meeting to advance the design even further, and that process will continue over the summer. And recommend direction for construction / funding at annual town meeting. That will be a natural, next step as we get through the process this summer into fall.
so
The
we
design.
would be looking at that for the fall town meeting?
It really depends on what the updated cost estimate of the project is and where fundraising is at that point, and if the town is in a position to consider, seeking funding for the delta amount. So it's hard to commit, that's
Okay.
gonna be in the fall at this point.
I'm sorry to delay everything, but to what extent can we use the facility now?
So we have use of the facility today. We've already been starting to use the facility. It depends on what you're using it for. It's currently not deemed ADA accessible.
Can we fix that with can the DPW fix that in short order?
We're looking at that with the architects, and
It
we're,
doesn't have to be beautiful.
but it has to be
It
compliant.
has to be compliant and it has to be safe.
Yes.
Functional. It has to be functional. This is where
Yeah.
phasing comes in.
Yeah,
Step
so-
1, get it functional.
Definitely looking at those as the priorities, how quickly can we make it ADA accessible?
The bathroom is gonna be the real
Actually, not,
problem, right?
not really,
Not too bad.
because what we talked about is you make it a single-user bathroom, right? Get rid of some of the stall doors, and that.
Is there enough room in there though?
Yeah, if you have to pull down a stall, because now that it's a single-user bathroom, you don't need the stalls.
So Olson Lewis is gonna give us a report as to what would need to happen, and then the funding that we requested from Senator Tarr through the earmark process that he's pushing forward, if that is secured and approved come July 1, when the state finalizes their budget, and if these ADA improvements, these temporary ADA improvements come at a cost, we could utilize that earmark to pay for those projects and get it done quicker.
Yeah, I just don't wanna be spending $200,000 and then
No,
throw it in
no.
the dumpster, you know what
No,
I
of
mean?
course.
So,
That's
Of course.
the
But
situation.
spending $1,000,
no, I mean, $1,000
That's not a
isn't
problem.
gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you spend $10,000, put a ramp on and do some minor whatever,
Yeah,
that's
once
one
we have the assessment from Olson Lewis, we'll decide whether it's,
Because it's definitely temporary, it's gonna be torn down later, so.
Yeah. Has Olson Lewis signed the deal to do the design work?
I think,
That was gonna happen like this week
yeah,
or last week?
this week. So probably not as of this moment,
Okay.
Still Monday.
but but this week.
It's still Monday for another
Barely.
There was a lot of
3.5 hours.
there was a lot of discussion that we had to have internally, especially following the discussion that we had publicly about what process was gonna be important moving forward with this design, kind of square that stuff up and make sure that it's included in the scope of work with Olson Lewis. So I know Nate was having that discussion with them, and I think the goal was to have it signed
And
this
due
week.
dates.
With due dates, yes. Prioritize climate change preparedness study for Ocean Street and ensure an effective public process. So we have a public charrette style, tabletop workshop style public process that's gonna be June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And we're in the process of working with the consultants to make sure that we're fully ready for that process come early June.
Where?
Yeah, where's?
There's a walk around, and then there's gonna be a public meeting here in this room. And for one of those days, the consultants will be fully set up in room 7.
Okay.
And then I think a final virtual workshop on the last day.
So are the Ocean Street residents aware of that?
We're putting together, I mean,
No, I mean the dates.
the dates, no, probably not. I mean, we mentioned it was gonna be the first week of June, but we were working today with Tiffany on getting the information out. We have a few the priority today was to get the information out about the Singing Beach feasibility study, because that starts May 28th. And then we'll get the information out about June 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Where is the bathhouse in the facilities plan?
It's not, there's nothing that the Facilities Planning Committee has seen. I even talked about it.
Yeah.
That was gonna be my ask during the liaison update.
Okay, got it.
It's listed on the capital plan, but I don't think it's been brought to the facility planning committee in
Never
any
talked
form
about
of
it.
capacity.
Nope.
Okay, great.
And then advance efforts regarding PFAS.
The
including-
president did a great job on that one today.
I must have missed.
Oh, he announced that he's going to eliminate the PFAS regulations.
Oh, don't spend the money.
Good.
Yeah.
Save
That's
us
$16 million
$60
we can spend somewhere
Wow,
else.
is that right?
I'm sure.
Well, I mean, that's talk.
It's talk, but the other issue, even they've talked about at the federal level, they've talked about pushing back the compliance dates.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm expecting that to happen.
But the Massachusetts DEP put the same requirements in their state regs, so even if the feds were to back out,
Yeah. But
or
we're
back off
still part of the
completely, we
state.
We still have DEP
we
to
still
do.
have our own state compliance
Yeah.
issues.
I want that money.
Okay, is
All right.
there questions on?
No, I lost.
Nice job.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Very good job. You had a lot more than I would ever expect you to get done, so.
And on top of it all. And really, the reference point for a lot of this is how town meeting went, which went fairly smoothly.
Yes.
And a lot of the stuff in this list here kind of was town meeting related, so.
I agree. I think, I agree with John that how well town meeting goes is kind of a bellwether, if you will, right? And it went as smooth as it possibly could have, did a great job. I think going forward, when I look at all of the projects that are on our plate, you're gonna need to think about, I have only lived here since, 2013, so I don't know if Manchester has a long history of overseeing multi-million-dollar projects of this scale all at once, okay? I'm assuming not. I don't know if you have in your background done anything to the scale that we are embarking on. And I do feel we need to think about our operating model here a little bit differently. When you have to oversee the types of projects that you and we as a board are gonna have to oversee, okay? We've gotta crisp up our process, okay, how we so in the facilities planning committee, as an example, we're discussing some of that, how we can get the board the information it needs to oversee it without interfering in the operational nature of running the projects. But it requires a different level of oversight and a different kind of process. So I just think that's something to think about going forward. And also, I just think the communication was so much better than anything I've seen at any, town that I've lived in prior to town meeting, trying to get the information out. It's really hard. But I think, that's an area that you excel in, so I thank you for that.
Okay. Now for the next fun event, cargo building demolition.
All right, so cargo, the pending schedule looks to be a mobilization and demo prep starting the Tuesday after Memorial Day. And road closure would begin the Wednesday after Memorial Day, May 27th. That's a full road closure to begin the demolition, and that's an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. work schedule. Friday, they've been directed that they would need to be done and road opened up at 3 p.m. because of school graduation. And then no work over the weekend, and then back the following week, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, we have on here a full road closure for that following week from Monday to Friday. It's highly likely that they won't need the entire week, that they may not even need a full road closure. It may come down to one lane. It all kind of depends on how quickly they get through the demolition project.
Is the sidewalk going to be available? At least on the
opposite side of the road, the sidewalk will be available.
It'll be closed at night also, right? Not just.
Oh, yeah, the opposite side of cargo, that'll be all.
No, I'm saying
the road
outside of work hours, that it's still gonna be closed for that week, right?
Sidewalk.
No, I think it'll just be a regular road. All they're using is to load trucks.
Okay.
And that's just staging, but the sidewalk on the cargo side will be.
That's gotta be it. So question, where is the closure? I guess my question really is, what happens to Chapel Lane? Which is directly opposite the museum.
Right.
But it is before cargo.
Is this the latest one I sent you?
This is the latest. This is the latest, but it's small. Good luck.
So it's gonna be, Chapel Lane will be impacted.
That's my question. There is a nursery school in there.
Yes. So we've spoken with the nursery school and offered to utilize the Masonic Hall Senior Center property to walk from our parking lot behind Town Hall over to the nursery as an alternative.
I've just seen that operate, and of course, kids that age have infant siblings that are in a car. And a mother cannot get out of a car, leaving her sibling there, her infant, to go and get her 4-year-old. So pickups, it's always correlated with the instructors who are really kind of on the steps and say, oh, your mother's over here, et cetera, et cetera. So walking a distance becomes a problem. I mean, I see it with my daughter and her twins.
Well, we will have a police
So
detail.
we'll have to figure out how that works.
We'll have a police detail.
It's not everybody, but that's some people.
We'll have a police detail right at School Street, right, so, I'll talk to Chief Fitzgerald about possibly for pickup and drop off if they need
Yeah.
to get in and it's safe to just get down to Chapel Lane and come back out the same way.
All right. And I guess in a similar vein, the seniors also have their coffee that Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So just one day for 2 hours, 10 to 12 or whatever. And when I spoke with them this morning, I said, well, I don't know. I'm not sure what this closure is, but they all park in that lot. And you go there, that's all.
All right.
I mean, there is a lot of traffic that goes in and out of there. I'm familiar with kind of the traffic flow. And what's Santander doing?
I'll connect with Mary Minor on the
Yeah.
on the coffee, on the senior coffee. Santander is probably gonna have access for their employees via the police detail. The part of this is, we know that communication with the abutters, with the businesses downtown that are gonna be affected by this is important. And lack of communication will end up being our issue. However, it is the property owner and the developer's responsibility to be making this communication. So we've asked them to show us, the documentation that they're putting forward, and we've been checking with them to make sure that they've spoken with all of those abutters as well. We, on our own, are gonna be are doing that line of communication as well, just to make sure that, that they're
Because
communicating.
if there are unhappy people, they're gonna be in your office.
They're not gonna, right, they're not gonna go
Short
to,
walk.
yeah.
Jim Adams address.
I'm hoping that, this is a much smaller time frame of an issue. Especially giving them both lanes to begin with at the end of the week. I think they'll make a lot of progress quickly.
We have to make some room too, because there's gonna be a lot of people who wanna sit up their beach chairs.
What about down the road when construction starts? I mean, there's gonna be some one-lane closures eventually.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, I'm
is that
sure
gonna
there'll be
look like? I mean, how often are we gonna be dealing with that?
We haven't gotten to that point yet, other than just, explaining to them that obviously we're gonna have to be in close coordination on that. And that they should expect, to have to do all the proper notification, pay for details, proper fencing, all of the like.
Do it in the middle of the summer.
No.
Okay.
We'll have a robocall going out. We have information on social media, information on the website. There's gonna be signage at the site. There's gonna be digital message boards and detour signs, direct notification to businesses. And we're coordinating with, there's no impact with trash, the Memorial Day week. And we're coordinating with Republic for the following week, and then also coordinating with the school as well for bus routes. I mean, it's gonna
It is
be,
what it is.
it's gonna be a nightmare.
If they can do construction in the north end of Boston somehow, somehow we'll get through it, right?
There are a couple of places.
So, we'll get through it.
So they have 1, 2, 3, they got 5 places where they're gonna have police officers.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. It'll be exciting. Liaison updates. Jeff?
I don't have a whole lot, but planning board did a site walk at 121 School Street for a special permit last week. Harbor advisory meeting was canceled, but I did talk to Bion, and basically they're just waiting on permits. so no, just kind of waiting game there. Essex Tech last week, we did a lot of our final approval for all the handbooks, looking at some stuff for next year. Last Saturday, the automotive department had their annual car show. So they had 150 about classic and special interest cars run by the students and the automotive staff, and it was a really good turnout. And they raised some money, I don't know exactly how much yet, but yeah, so it was a good day.
Well, we had a decent weekend, so there was some staff, although the beach is not officially manned or staffed, there was some staff there. Like for tomorrow, anticipating the weather, Cheryl's trying to scrape together some people to be at the beach. Bathhouse is not open.
But
I mean, the porta potties are.
Okay.
We have to keep a close eye on those, they fill up real fast. That and over at Tux Point as well. Tux Point needs some work, but I assume, and Cheryl assumes that everything will be ready for Thursday's prom. That becomes usually they're wait until Memorial Day, but because prom is, I guess, this Thursday.
Yeah.
So the pictures, and so I think that Cheryl will be speaking with Chuck and Nate as far as getting Tux squared away, ready for that. And then there's the bathhouse meeting a week from Thursday. And Cheryl's reached out to like two of the operators, I think Captain Dusty's and the previous operator, which was Bravo, Beth, to talk about what they've discovered, what needs to be done there in their regard. So yeah, everything. So yeah, and then that's all I got.
So what is the approval process for that? It just goes through Tony, Cheryl, that's it?
Approval of what?
For whatever is gonna happen to the bathrooms?
No, it's still just preliminary. This
Like,
is
I can't, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I know we approved some funding, CPC funding, right? Or was it capital? I forget.
Yeah, but it wasn't a lot. This is just a
No, but is it just for-
This is a full out new bath, right?
I'm trying to remember, and I apologize, I can't remember. What was the money we approved? What was it for?
I
Is it
think
just-
that I know there was a CPC element in there. I don't know if it ultimately was approved for CPC funding or if.
Well, it wasn't spent.
Like, are
If it
we
was-
just doing a design? Is there another
This year or
step
last
before
year?
construction? Because I know we approved something, but when I saw the social media postings, for whatever reason, it just felt like it came out of the blue. So I'm just trying to get my brain oriented around it. What is she doing? Coming up with a design for a new building or just renovating the existing structure?
That's
Or
part,
that's what they're
that's
looking at?
what the process is,
Yeah,
is
this
to,
with Olson Lewis.
yeah, is
And,
to
So
determine
this is
what the
Best.
course direction should be for that facility. Identify what its needs are, what its issues are, and decide whether it makes
If we can
sense
use
to.
what we have and renovate what we have, or if
Yes.
it's just a
I think
full out.
I think part of our goal is to evaluate that. Obviously, if you invest more than a certain percentage of the value of the property, you have to bring it up to code, which could make it unfeasible or cost prohibitive to bring it up to code.
We had to figure out what we really need up there.
That's what I'm saying. This was not on the list. And I know we've talked about it, but it wasn't really on the list and kind of, like I said, it just felt like
This has
slid
been
in
an
there,
ongoing
you know.
discussion for
it's a nice
years now.
sturdy building. So let's see what we can do with, yeah, like.
I know.
Being inside it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know we have.
Locker rooms and bathrooms.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, the bathrooms definitely need to be done, but I'm just saying, let's try and
You
keep
could
it.
put in new bathrooms, that'd be junk in no time, so.
I know it seems like sometimes we have a ton of projects on our plate. But as you know, from feasibility study to construction can be years. So there,
Decades.
Yeah.
It is years.
So, you know, this is in the very early phases compared to that of, you know, PFAS or something like that, so.
No, it's, usually there's like anything else, you got 3 phases: design, okay, construction, and then closeout. And there's always something in design, there's always something in construction, there's always something in closeout.
Yeah.
Makes it fun.
John.
Historic District Commission had a meeting last Thursday. They approved Nikki's sign.
Oh, they did?
So I guess Nikki's is, there's nothing more official than you gotta sign.
No, but I heard it was like just a handwritten sign they showed.
No,
Did they come up with a real design?
It was really, it was a poem that was held on a screen. It said, this is the design. It wasn't like a piece of paper you had in front of you. But it was a design, he's going to use the sign that is up there that says Jamie's Roast Beef, and he's just simply replacing the lettering, which is okay.
Could have just called it Jamie's Place.
It's called,
much cheaper.
Yeah, Nikki's. So, and they're also preparing for the, you know, the historical mapping that was done last year, largely on School Street, and there was an appropriation of $20,000 to do neighborhood number 2, which is Norwood, everything going out to Lincoln, Brook, all of these, Vine, et cetera, all of the roads in there. I know that an RFP is going out, I think within the month, and the same guy will bid on that, who did the last one. That'll involve probably about 100 houses. School Street was about 120. This will be about 100. So they're working on that. And also discussed a demo delay. Now, a lot of towns around here have demolition delays. We do not. There was one that was attempted to be passed in 2012, did not get passed. And so now they're discussing with the planning board, or actually I guess the zoning board, as to what the story is, doing some research here as to how many demos were actually done that where the historically there may have been a concern. A lot of demos are done where you don't care. But you know, how many have been done over, say, the past 30 or 40 years? They're getting some information together to further look into just how practical that something like that might be here. Typical for most demo delays is 1 year. So, and it would go back 100, you know, properties anything more than 100 years old, and the most the delay could be is 1 year. That seems to be typical for most towns.
I don't recall, but maybe I wasn't paying attention, which is possible. Anything significant coming down as far as demo in the last?
There was a house on Bennett Street.
Bennett is the only one.
Well, that thing was gonna fall down, right?
Yeah, well, true, but nevertheless, it would fall into that category because it was very, very old.
But I mean, 100 years old isn't.
It's not that old.
It's not very
Not that
old.
old.
If you look
In
around
this
here.
town, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was listening to
That's
their
why most
discussion, and I say 100, that might, I'd go to turn of the century, to be honest.
Right.
You know, 1 1/4, because 100, there's a lot of stuff that falls in that. And the one thing that they did discuss is that if that 100, in other words, make it 1925, but make it year specific, so it's not a floating 100 years. So in
So
25
it's a
years,
cut.
it's not 1950
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
So they're still pushing all of these issues.
That's the planning board?
That's the Historic District Commission.
Historic district.
Yeah. But this would be a town-wide,
Townwide?
so they would have to interact with the zoning board and planning board in terms of this. It would be kind of a joint initiative, I think, which makes sense.
So like, for instance, Ron Master Jackham's
Yeah.
house, how old do you think that church was?
Oh, Ron DiGiacomo, yes, that's coming down.
Yeah, but that would fall under the.
I think it probably would, and I think some people would have some opinions on it. Not, you know, again, it's a
I sat
demo
on- I
delay.
sat on that ZBA meeting, yes, there were a lot of opinions.
Believe that.
You know, I think we want to stay close on that one, especially given the, you know, immediately what I think about is all the discussion that we've had about how can we improve efficiencies and be supportive of potential new businesses coming downtown and you know, that sort of thing. And demo delay is.
It's an issue on that.
It's has the opposite effect.
Exactly.
So it's something we definitely want to do.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't want to capture
It
everything.
can-
That's why
It could be I should.
You really need to look and say, how many demos have there been? And you're probably closer to that than anyone else here.
Other than, like, and I totally forgot about the Bennett Street, that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Maybe only a year.
Yeah, I remember going, I was on that sidewalk.
yeah, I think that
So I was on
sample
the-
is
I was on
fairly
the ZBA
small.
then. So that was. But for instance, say, Stanley's Garage at some point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, that one is well over 100 years old.
Yeah, way.
some of the oil there is well over 100 years, but I mean, that would fall under the,
Yeah.
that would delay, yeah.
Yeah, or at least, when I say it's just consideration, it's just because it's over 100 years that it automatically is going to be, the demo delay will be exercised.
And to Tony's point, we gotta keep an eye on that.
Yes, but I agree with that because that can create problems. So that is, the COA and the seniors, they're starting to write letters to Senator Markey with regard to the letter that Tony wrote with regard to the $3 million, what is it, an earmark pot or something?
Yeah, community project funding.
Okay, anyway, they were provided with the information to be able to write letters, and they know where to send them to kind of support the initiative to perhaps get some money out of Washington in that regard. And DPW, I say everything's under control. I believe them.
Okay.
The library.
Well, boy, that would be really disappointing if you didn't.
May I follow along on that?
You may.
Because I had something to report from the facilities planning.
Sure.
committee.
Oh, sorry.
So, the facilities planning committee, we have struggled a little bit with our meeting times, because we have, some folks who have full-time jobs during the day. We tended to meet on Thursdays at noon, hasn't worked out for everybody. So, we have a meeting this Thursday, we're gonna try and get a set schedule, but we may come back to the select board and request that we appoint some alternates. Just at least for the adjudicatory boards like the select board, planning board and FinCom. So we're gonna have a discussion about that as a team on Thursday, but at our next meeting, I may request that we appoint some alternates.
Okay.
I didn't mean to.
Sure. Oh, that's okay, that was the main thing, I just wanted to get it. One other thing I'll mention, is kind of just piggybacking on what I mentioned to Tony. We have to think about, as a facilities planning committee, how we are going to oversee the responsibilities that we have. What is our role in each of these projects, and where do we need to kind of take a look at things, and where do we not? And then how do we report back to the various boards? So we're working on some kind of a dashboard type concept, just to simplify, because it's the modus operandi here in this town is, Nate and Chuck go to all the meetings of all the committees, and that ain't gonna work, okay? It's not gonna work for the amount of facilities and infrastructure investments we have to make, so we're working on
I think that's why
streamlining.
the committee was started.
Well, it's to we were focused initially just on poking at the individual facilities, but we are finding we need to help the town develop a more efficient process for oversight. So instead of, Chuck and Nate and whoever coming in here, every now and then with a 20-minute presentation about Project X, we still may need to do that once in a while, but you can have them lead, some of these meetings and ask everybody to come to them. So different techniques we can employ to make things more efficient, and so everybody, gets their say, but it's not a burden on them, and just to kind of do a dog and pony show at every committee in town. So we want to try and help them out a bit. More to come. That's it.
School vacation week, finance committee is off. The Board of Health has got a slightly complicated thing with Wolf Trap Brook, where the stream team thinks that they have found a point source of pollution, but they use different measuring techniques than the Board of Health does. And they are trying to figure out there is pollution at the end of Wolf Trap
Where
Where is that?
I
Where's Wolf
apologize for my ignorance, where is
No,
that?
thank you for someone else asking that.
Yeah, everyone's embarrassed.
I don't know where that is.
Where is that?
It's in Ipswich, isn't it?
That's Wolf Hill Garden Center.
Yeah.
I was wondering why we cared.
It's east of the railroad tracks, and I'm afraid I can't.
Okay, east of the railroad.
It's up in the, off a loading place.
That's kind of, now you're getting into Sawmill Brook area.
That's Sawmill.
Yeah.
Well, Sawmill's on the other side, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I'm the only one who doesn't know where it is, so that's
Oh.
fine, just curious. Okay.
Okay.
Didn't mean to get
I
us
will
down a
send
rabbit
you,
hole.
I'll send you an
I
email.
I'm not gonna lose
Losing
no sleep.
sleep.
All right, no worries.
Anyway, so
So what type of pollution are they didn't?
they've found E. coli,
Oh, you-
Oh,
and E. coli can come from animals.
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
So, and
Rat virus.
that was the interesting part of that, that they continue to work on how they're going to work with the grants that they got from being in the, organization, in the alignment with Gloucester, so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting to be the end of the first year. That's it for me. Is there a move on the consent agenda?
Oh, may I make a request to remove the, April 23rd meeting minutes? That's the ones where we had the big joint board
Yes.
meeting.
That
There
was the
some-
long stuff.
There was some comments in there that I was not comfortable with, and I meant to send in the corrections, and I didn't have
Okay.
time to do that.
Okay.
We will take the April 23rd minutes out of there.
This is, then I move the board approve the consent agenda with the exception of the April 23rd minutes.
Second.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Gav says yes.
John, yes.
Okay. We should probably sign the proclamation at some point.
Yeah, is it coming around?
Nikki's place.
And we'll have, yeah. Do we have? Yes, we have. Excellent.
The picture of that, everything was in there.
While we're doing that, administrator's report?
Yes, thank you. I should have also mentioned, during the quarterly review, I do have to give a huge, credit and thank you to the staff. A lot of those, so many different things on that list that really doesn't get completed without all their work, and we're lucky to have such a great team here that couldn't be more collaborative with one another. So we have a number of public forums coming up. With Singing Beach Bathhouse, May 28th, June 11th, June 25th. Ocean Street, Black and White Beach Vulnerability Assessment and Feasibility Study, June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Senior Center Design, which we don't have any dates yet, but that'll be coming up. As you mentioned, the Planning Board, starting a process of looking at the general district with that additional grant that they have in the short-term rental
You mean the
bylaw.
historic district?
Oh, I'm sorry. So also the planning board, they just did downtown zoning.
Yep.
They got a grant to look at the remaining general district zoning as well. We're hoping to start that process over the summer as well. We had a call on the 11th with Weston and Sampson about the harbor master office as well. The big grant process and the Seaport Economic grant process for engineering, design, public process, permitting, construction, all of that kind of really kicks off this summer as well. So it's possible that will be rolled into a public process as well. More to come on that. So we have a lot, I think that at our retreat, it's worth a discussion point, you know, especially over the summertime. You know,
Somebody else wants to sign that one.
Oh, okay.
the ability the ability for the public to participate in all these, you know, different types of public forums that we're having. Some of them are more, you know, specific to certain topics, but you do have to kind of think about how much capacity does the population have to kind of, you know, they're not gonna go to a community meeting every week throughout the summer, you know, so we have to think about.
That's a good point you're making right now.
You gotta think about like how effective you want the process to be and how you kind of layer all of these things on top of each other. So something for us to talk about at the retreat.
They do become kind of numb.
That one doesn't,
Yeah, one of them is just needs one signature.
We also, DLS reached out today about, remember the financial management review that we requested to update? That's more of an internal process with key department members who are involved in different areas. They're hoping to come out mid-June for the first round of interviews, which would be like a 2 to 3 day process. So that process will be kicking off shortly too. Vacancies on committees. I sent you a picture. You know, I talked to Christine about how we could maybe help promote that at the polls tomorrow. Without someone to staff a table, what we ended up doing was we created a big poster board that lists all of the committees that have vacancies on them with a QR code of how to, you know, sign up or submit your application or get more information. So we'll have that posted at the polls.
I think there's something good for town meeting next time.
Yeah.
What's the vacancy count right now? It always seems like it's a dozen, more than a dozen? You know.
yeah, it's more than a. it's
I will look at the
more than a
poster
dozen.
tomorrow.
There's also quite.
Good luck tomorrow.
Some of those vacancies are, I don't think we put like how many spots are open.
That's what I'm saying. I think some of the communication, I'm saying, hey, volunteer for the town. But when we have fewer vacancies, we say, hey, come volunteer for a bike and ped. Here, you know, actually tell people without them having to click 3 times on what the opportunities really are. So I think some individual, you know, campaigns a little bit.
If anybody knows of anybody who would be good on the Board of Health, they just have 2 vacancies.
Ooh.
And it's a 5-person board. And it's the judicatory board.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so something like that should be separate,
Who's
you know.
stepping down?
Dr. Khan and, oh God, what was
Joan.
his name? Joan.
Some of the vacancy count right now is reflective of the policy that we've had about so many consecutive terms. So when you have served X amount of terms, it technically becomes a vacancy, but you have the opportunity to submit your name, you know, as well.
Okay, so that's fine.
So
but-
it's, and we have gotten a lot of members like that who've said, I still want to serve.
Oh, good, okay, so I think what we need help with though is, you know, like I said, there are some real gaps that we may want to advertise separately versus a list of here are some opportunities, but actually put the names of the committees in the.
I think another idea too is at the Festival by the Sea.
Yeah.
You know, having a table maybe with the select board or right next to
That's a good
that,
idea.
you know, you have information there, maybe a couple members from different committees staying with us for a little bit and, you know, just kind of be able to, a lot of people when they come in, you know, I'm interested in volunteering, here's my background, I'm not really sure, I was looking at this or that, you know, and they always say, well, what's the workload, you know, how often do they meet, what type of things are expected of me, and really that conversation is most effective with people who serve on the committee.
Absolutely.
So
that's a good idea.
Been thinking about something like that too.
That's good.
see, capital planning, union contracts. We had a regional call with Senator Tarr and members of MassDOT on the 11th as well about wrong-way drivers. We're expecting some sort of event, maybe at Endicott in the coming weeks, where there's going to be an announcement of state funding for improvements at DOT facilities to help with deterring wrong-way drivers. Keep you posted on that. On the 13th, we had there was the MSBA project funding meeting with Manchester Essex Regional and the state. We didn't really have we didn't really have like a participation role in that. It was more just sitting and kind of listening.
They were just running through the communities. I didn't know quite how that was set up.
Yeah.
They had all of the communities that were building schools, and everybody had 20 minutes. Because after us, they were going, I don't know, somewhere out west. I can't remember.
Chelmsford.
It's not west.
West of here.
Practically the Mississippi.
It's west of here.
West of here.
It's a long way. My wife would get lost getting there. That means it's a long way.
Yes.
So, anyway, they must have lined up, I don't know, 5, 6 school districts.
Well, how much is Lexington going for?
Oh, God.
Like 200 million or something like
No,
that?
400.
You're right.
400
I
and
think it's
something
400.
million. It was under the 500
Maybe we can
million
ship
that
the,
Andover
Essex kids
voted
to
down,
Lexington.
but it was in the 400s.
Metco kids.
It's crazy.
But they just went through the details. 250 students, 72,000 square foot building, $93 million projected cost. Designed for 50 years, 3 stories. They reviewed 6 alternatives. New build was their preference. Avoiding wetlands. Room for future expansion.
Question I forgot to ask was, new build without interference from the state and taking state money ever part of the options that were looked at? Because when you ask for money from the state, you gotta play by their rules. When you don't, you don't. You just have to meet
That's a
codes.
significant.
That's
I
a
mean,
big hit.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, it was
The state is driving up a lot of cost
Yeah.
with their rules.
Well,
I'm just curious, it sounds like it wasn't looked at.
No, and I don't believe it's been looked at any of the schools.
No, it's about, what's this, 30%?
30%.
30%.
It works out to about 27 by the time they
Oh.
exclude this and that, but yeah, it's more than 25.
Right.
And,
and there's stuff they don't pay for too. I mean,
Right.
they don't get involved
And
in
if you
funding,
have something that they don't want, they don't pay for it.
right.
I
Well,
know
they
that,
give you here's what you have to have and what we're gonna pay. And then,
I remember the discussion around the high school. I think the high school, that crossed every T that the state wanted.
They don't pay for the district administration,
which is housed there.
which is housed there. But every time we
Official
talk
locker
about
rooms
having,
there.
well, we should have a senior center adjacent,
They wouldn't pay for that.
incorporated,
yeah, that's off. Yeah.
that doesn't get paid for.
And I know they did look at maybe adding on to the memorial school as well. And as soon as you do that, they start to claw back money for whatever they're throwing at the memorial school.
But they've already thrown.
So that was a short discussion.
2 more quick things. Today, we had a tabletop exercise with our regional emergency management, Rockport, Gloucester, Essex, Ipswich. We're all in the room. Mass Maritime really managed the workshop, and it was all coastal storm flooding process and regional shelter process, and it was a great. It was greatly attended, and it was a very productive workshop. Emergency management is definitely something that I think we have a lot of work to do, not just here, but all of our neighboring communities. And it was nice. It was a nice event to kind of really talk through the details and identify some spots that we need to work on moving forward. And then just, again, Thursday night finance committee meeting, on their agenda, they wanna, discuss the ballot results of tomorrow and the capital projects. Look at potential year-end transfers or use of the finance committee reserve fund. They're looking for an update on the trash collection contract. We've received information from Republic, we've sought information from other companies, but really haven't gotten much interest. We're waiting on final contract proposal from Republic, and we'll put together all that background.
That's one of the big discussions at Dunkin' Donuts every morning.
What, the trash?
Trash, and what the surrounding communities is not.
It's a hot issue in Beverly.
Gloucester, I think, as well.
Gloucester,
Really,
yes,
really, I think the
PB as well, PB, I think PB too.
Yeah. We've told Republic that we are not switching to automated collection July 1st. That we are gonna go through a public process to talk about what that impact is gonna be and what makes the most sense for us. Is that the beginning of the new year, or is it July of next year that we do that conversion? A lot of the issue with these other communities is they basically just said, all right, July 1st, we're making the switch and your rate's going up and these are the options you have.
No, that's a good learning point. I mean, that's.
We're gonna.
If we haven't learned anything at all,
We're gonna try and take a.
Over communicate.
Yeah, we're gonna try and take a more public engagement type approach.
I think we're gonna need a timeline though, because you may be coming to this board to ask, what are the rates we're gonna set? You're not gonna have orange bag rates, right? But you're gonna have, trash barrel rates. And so you're gonna-
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, you should.
No, not this year, but potentially when we do the conversion.
Right, you do the conversion, that's what I
Yeah.
mean, so,
Yep.
again, a timeline would be nice, so that we can, months in advance, see what the.
Yeah.
So you're just asking questions, not if, but when? Is it July, is it January, is it the following July?
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
But it
Everybody has
has
this.
to, maybe Republic saying, we'll give you a window, but you're definitely doing it somewhere in that window.
Oh, well, yeah, you're gonna pay more during that window.
If
And
you,
once
if you
you do
don't.
the conversion, your contract will reduce by this amount per
Okay,
month.
well, yes, you gotta be a little public on that.
They also, it says update on Central Street culvert bids. However, I think that's meant to say PFAS bids, and like, we always talked about having a discussion about SRF funding or not. We'll give them the update, but our preliminary review is that we're gonna utilize SRF. It's gonna save millions of dollars long-term in interest payments alone. And then we can give them an update as to what's going on with the Central Street, the same update I just gave about brick and permitting. They also have launch service update, which I have the update that Kathy, I worked on with you back in February maybe, or
I dug up the
October. I have to
between
look
Peter and
at
I,
it.
we dug up the document for you, so I don't think have I seen anything since then? I don't remember.
I'll send you what I
Yeah, I
have,
don't-
but we basically combined the
Oh, yeah.
business plan that was created prior to launch service
Right.
and the results of calendar year 24 and 25.
Okay, yep,
Um,
yeah, I would like to see that.
and then revisit the 25-year capital plan, any other updates from Andrea and I, and summer and fall meeting schedule, so. Decent agenda for Thursday that we're working hard to get all the information put together for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, you were quick on that one. I don't think I've ever seen you move that fast.
I've got 3 people at home who expect dinner.
Very